For letting us know about that. Look at Donald Kavanagh. He's doing a bit of air guitar in there and everything, singing.
Air guitar should be banned.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Did you ever do it yourself, or rub your socks and stuff like that?
Drums maybe, but I don't know, air guitaring.
No.
Should we retain it?
Retain it.
Lee, what are you holding in your hands there?
A big stick.
What?
I got a crowbar. This is the first time that you ever had one of these guys. God only knows how old.
I don't think that's a crowbar.
It is a crowbar.
It's not a crowbar.
That is a
crowbar. No, it's not.
Where's the camera?
That's not a crowbar.
That is a crowbar. That's what you do.
No, a crowbar has a bend on it.
No.
That's a pole.
No, that's a big.
You hammer at the top and it's got a point at one end. That's not a crowbar.
The bruising I got over the years.
I
learned that Katie's fence went down, right? And she says,
what was she going to do with that?
No, her husband fixed the fence.
Is that a crowbar, Oisín?
Oisín.
That's a crowbar. Wow, I'm showing my ignorance.
I know what you do with the crowbar.
Can we start again?
Yeah, it is a crowbar. So I gave it to Katie, and Katie's been driving around it in her boot this last few days. She says, here's a birthday present for you. Here's your crowbar back. So that's it.
Did you have a good day? But another set of headphones are on the way out again now.
Now, Greg, don't be tight. What did I tell you before Christmas?
Buy my own.
Tell Santi to buy you a pair of headphones.
So come here. What did she do with that crowbar? Sorry,
fix the fence.
Right. Okay.
No,
I don't know how
bang
you
it
do
down
that.
and stuff.
That's
so
fine.
I says I had it in the van. I says no, I didn't have it in the van. I got to go behind the shed, and I got it first. So she returned it.
There you go.
The weight of the thing. It's good for the biceps.
She's used some diesel towing that thing around.
I know. She's had to get rid of it. Can we have a busy show of the day again?
Possibly. I'll let you know after.
But you're sneaky, drawers.
Well, I don't.
You could flag things up. Yeah, we're talking about this and that and the other.
We are talking about this, that, and the other.
But that's not letting nothing out of the bag.
It'll all become very clear shortly.
Have a good show. Do you want to leave this and you can do some exercise afterwards?
No.
Sure?
You can take it.
You might need
That's
it. That's
just a very big nail. It's not a crowbar.
That is a crowbar.
Okay, good luck. 9 o'clock, a minute past. Let's get it. Who said it's not a crowbar? It's not a crowbar. No, it's not a crowbar. Of course it's not a crowbar. Yeah, it's got a point on it.
It's got a point on it.
Yeah. No, a crowbar has the bend on it.
You're tiddly widdly. It's not. It's a crowbar.
It's not a crowbar. A crowbar has an end on it like that there.
Does it?
Yeah, and then you can pull nails out with it, and you can pull wood out. That is just a big nail.
That's not a big nail.
So you're insisting that's a crowbar?
That's a crowbar.
Right, okay, I'll expect the apology tomorrow.
I'll give it to you.
All right, 9 o'clock, 2 minutes past. Let's get a news update. Donald, before we have to separate, obviously, the bants and the news. You've had a look at that. Do you believe that is a crowbar?
Absolutely not.
Of course it's not a crowbar, is it not? Okay, thank you very much indeed. Donald knows his stuff, and it's over now to Donald Kavanagh for a news update at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Greg. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has told the Dáil the Workplace Relations Commission is available to the HSE and health unions who are in dispute over the opening of the new community hospital in Ballyshannon. The $37.6 million facility was to have opened this week, but hasn't done so because the INMO and SIPTU claim planned staffing levels and clinical governance models would pose a risk to staff and patients. Urging the Taoiseach to use his influence on the matter, Deputy Marion Harkin told the Dáil that opening the new hospital could relieve some of the overcrowding pressure in Sligo and Letterkenny.
A state-of-the-art facility which could relieve some of the awful pressure on trolley numbers at SUH and LUH remains closed.
It was expected that patients and staff at the Rock Community Hospital would move to the new community hospital in Ballyshannon this week. However, it emerged that following a vote taken by the Nurses Union, staff have refused to move to the new facility, citing concerns over staffing levels. The government stands ready to intervene, and that would be through both sides going to the Work Relations Commission. The opening of the new community hospital in Ballyshannon is a priority, and it will be fully operational at the earliest possible date.
The CEO of Derry Chamber believes the British Labour Party is committed to the future of the North West. It comes following a meeting between the Chamber and British Shadow Secretary of State Hilary Benn this week. The importance of City of Derry Airport and the need to upgrade the A5 were among the topics on the agenda. Chamber CEO Anna Doherty says it's conceivable there could be a Labour-led government in place at Westminster by the end of this year, but she says no matter what the political outlook, Chamber will continue to raise the needs of the region.
They are very keen to support the North West. They were very receptive to the arguments that we put forward and have a lot of ties there themselves already. He came with his Shadow Minister, Fleur Anderson. So I think that shows a lot of commitment from their part. But whoever takes the positions at the next election, we will be always arguing the case for the North West and for the North West City region.
And the UN's Refugee Agency is calling on the Irish government to end homelessness among asylum seekers. Latest figures from the Department of Integration show 878 recently arrived international protection applicants have not been offered any state-provided shelter. There are currently 489 adult asylum seekers living in tented accommodation at 3 separate sites. The UNHCR's Aoife Hart says they're bringing a report to the UN this morning asking for recommendations that Ireland will not leave asylum seekers homeless or destitute.
So we're asking this committee to make recommendations to the government to end homelessness among asylum seekers. And we want them to do this by providing accommodation for everyone arriving into Ireland seeking international protection. The number of men this week who have not been offered accommodation is now close to 900. And for many of these 900 men, this means sleeping out in the streets, and they're in the cold, they're in the rain, they're freezing, and they're scared like anyone who has arrived in their situation would be.
Dull and misty this morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, some hill and coastal fog about as well. That rain will clear later, followed by scattered showers and a few sunny spells. Top temperatures today 10 or 11 degrees Celsius in light southwest winds. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with news in full at 10. Check all of the day's news on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
Discover the new Nissan Ariya. Discover 100% electric. Discover Japanese-inspired design that sets it apart. Discover luxury beyond expectation. Discover innovation like you've never known. Discover smooth acceleration, quiet operation, and advanced technology. Discover it today at Nissan dealers nationwide. The new Nissan Ariya from €43,500. Test drive it today and discover outstanding. Nissan, innovation that excites. Dealer delivery and related charges apply.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It is 9:06 on this Thursday, the 15th of February 2024. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio. And as we kick the show, it's shrouded in controversy with Crowbar Gate. We've put this big metal pin up on... listen, I've already had about 5 messages of pictures with crowbars. I can't really continue this other than to admit I think I'm wrong here. I thought crowbars were a particular thing, right? I'm not working in construction. I did work in construction, never come across one of these things, but apparently it is a crowbar. It's a type of crowbar, but I'm not going to admit that to Lee Gooch that he was possibly right. So me, Oisín, Donal, wrong. Lee Gooch, right. Okay, it seems. Anyway, listen, thanks so much for people who actually took the phones out, took a picture on site of them with one of these crowbars and sent it in to us on Facebook. It's brilliant stuff. Listen, thank you very much indeed for that. All right, stick with us for the next 3 hours. We've got loads of features for you. We're going to keep across all the big news stories, the events, and plenty of features as well. Plenty of fun as well. So stay with us for 3 hours. It's a real mixed bag here on the 9 till Noon Show. 086 60 25,000 is your WhatsApp and texts. Maybe you want us to settle a family argument. Have you got a sister or a brother or a father or a mother who insists they're right about something and you believe that, in fact, you are correct about something? We will settle your arguments on the show today. So if you have something, an eternal argument or discussion point in your house, send it in to us. We will finish the argument. We will decide who is right or who is wrong. There's bound to be discussions out there across the dinner table where someone insists that they're right and they believe you wrong, or vice versa. Send in your squabbles to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number, or 07491 25,000, and we will settle them once and for all on the 9 till Noon Show. So there will be no more argument at family events, no more argument over the dinner table. Who is right, who is wrong? We will sort it out. Let us do that for you. So text them into us, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Don't forget, you can watch today's show. Most of our guests do. Go onto our YouTube channel on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, and you can watch us on your big screen there. Just type in Highland Radio Ireland into YouTube. Give us a like and a subscribe too if you don't mind. It helps. We're across your mobile devices on that app, and on Facebook too, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on X, formerly Twitter. Radio, let's look at what's making... let me grab my chair because I'm a person of routine and my chair is far away. 1 second now. Just pull this chair up. I have a little chair beside me and I just don't feel right if it's not in the exact same spot that I expect it to be. Right, the Tyrconnell Tribune coming less than a week ahead of a planned protest by the fishing sector against Fianna Fáil Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Charlie McConalogue, for his alleged mishandling of the industry. A Fianna Fáil party meeting last Friday in Killybegs was told that many of the current problems in the industry are the fault of the big boys here in this port. In comments that some in attendance at the Fianna Fáil meeting have described as delusional, a senior Fianna Fáil party member responded to a question from the floor voicing concerns over the decline of the fishing industry in Killybegs, and similarly in every port in the country, by declaring that Fianna Fáil was fed up with the nonsense constantly coming out of Killybegs and that the party would refuse to pander to the demands of certain business operators and that there's no satisfying these people. A highly respected Fianna Fáil spokesperson claimed that Charlie McConalogue had the support of the right people in the industry and that he was one of the most progressive and hard-working marine ministers Ireland's ever had. Sources in Fianna Fáil told the Tribune, as well as displaying arrogance and a shocking disregard for the long-suffering fishing industry, people of Donegal and indeed nationwide, this statement by a senior Fianna Fáil rep begs the question of McConalogue's poor handling of the industry being his party's policy all along, or has the minister convinced his senior Fianna Fáil colleagues that he is in fact doing a great job for fishermen? Okay, controversy in Killybegs. The Donegal News this morning, a Letterkenny man who suffered 15 cardiac arrests in 1 year is hoping that life really will begin at 40 next month when he aims to undergo life-saving heart surgery in France. Chris Burrows is fundraising to help pay for €30,000 in costs relating to hospital treatment in Bordeaux. You get more on that story in the front and inside that paper today. The Derry News this morning, row over rates increase. Tempers became frayed as Derry City and Strabane District councillors met to strike the rate for the 2024-25 financial year. Council struck a district rates increase of 6.5%, which included a non-domestic rate of 37.7408 pence in the pound and a domestic rate of 0.6 pence in the pound at yesterday afternoon's meeting. Okay, let us go now on to the Farmers Journal, one of the biggest selling papers in the country, if not the biggest selling paper in the country. Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue has moved to bypass the department's own IT system and payment mechanisms to pay 26,000 farmers waiting for delayed acres money. Farmers in the general stream will be paid €4,000 and farmers in the cooperation stream will be paid €5,000 by the end of the month. These flat rate interim payments will be made directly from the government and through a separate delivery system to acres. Now, on to the Nationals and all over the RTE story because there was another bombshell that, it has to be said, I think was dragged out of senior execs, the top brass effectively at RTE. RTE is facing a substantial tax bill over a secret six-figure golden handshake to former executive Breda O'Keefe. In the latest scandal to rock RTE, bosses at the station revealed its ex-chief's financial officer received an exit package of €450,000. Now, this information wasn't given freely as such. It was in the end. But I'll play you a bit of the audio here. It is a couple of minutes, but it's not a couple of minutes. It's a minute, but this is quite significant. So this is RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst being questioned about this payment. How much was this lady paid?
And in terms of the voluntary exit package, what was the cost to RTE?
Of which voluntary exit package?
For Breda O'Keefe.
I can't say that. That's confidential, and I can't say.
I think it's really important, Mr. Backhurst, you put that into the public because this is really important. You're building a new RTE. It needs to be transparent. It needs to be trustworthy with integrity. And also we need to see accountability. Now, you're underprivileged here, and it's in the public interest that you provide that information to the committee.
Yeah, look, I would say two things. One is, as I said, we have had significant legal pressure over months to get this report out and to deal with this issue.
I accept that.
And there is a legal threat over this. I agree with you, transparency is important. I agree with you, it's important in this case. Breda O'Keefe was paid €450,000 to leave.
Can you repeat that?
€450,000.
And in terms of...
So there you have it. As I say, it wasn't exactly dragged out of him kicking and screaming, but the information wasn't necessarily forthcoming in the first instance. So now there is a tax liability arising as the redundancy did not meet the criteria for tax relief to be applied. And who's going to pay it? RTE. It seems RTE has acknowledged it's got no estimate of the potential cost of the tax bill arising from Ms O'Keefe's redundancy. There are calls for that money to be given back. €450,000 just to go away. Really quite remarkable. So the Irish Daily Mail, hand back your 450k RTE golden handshake. RTE's former chief financial officer, Breda O'Keefe, is facing calls to return the €450,000 golden handshake she received from the national broadcaster. As we just heard, RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst finally revealed the value of the controversial exit package yesterday. The package was not compliant with RTE's scheme on offer and was never sanctioned by the executive board. And now the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Brian Stanley, has demanded that Ms O'Keefe pay back the money. He told the Irish Daily Mail the right thing normally to do is pay it back. Now, I don't know, has Ryan Tubridy ever paid his, not his money back, the money he got? Remember that 150k that was supposed to be paid back, or there were calls for it to be paid back? Will it ever be? Perhaps not. Elsewhere, we were talking last week about, what we can do to protect our children online. I think we have a collective responsibility to ensure, no more so than we would allow them to walk into a massive supermarket, engage with strangers, be asked to give pictures to strangers in the real world. We wouldn't never allow that to happen. But sometimes unconsciously, it is happening in a social media space. And for young people nowadays, there's not a great deal of difference often between, reality, real world, and sort of the online world. So what will the social media firms do to try and protect our children? Not much. Various social media firms, this is the Times, based in Ireland, refused to give an undertaking to facilitate age verification mechanisms on their respective platforms. In a roundtable meeting with the government, the Minister for Education has said. Speaking to reporters at government buildings yesterday, Norma Foley said she had raised the subject of age verification with representatives for various platforms at the constructive and robust meeting, given that many children under the age of 13 are gaining access on social media sites. However, an undertaking to implement more robust age verification measures was not forthcoming at present. And the truth is it's not necessarily about the children in this. The greatest resistance, as I said last week, will come from adults who say, oh, well, the social media company's not getting my ID and all that type of stuff. And, I'm not saying I'm in favour of it, but whilst we don't protect the children, every day they're being potentially exploited. The Star this morning, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar and his Spanish counterpart have written to the President of the European Commission to express deep concern at the deteriorating situation in Gaza. I mean, it can't get much worse. In a joint letter to Ursula von der Leyen, Mr Varadkar and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called for an urgent review of whether Israel is complying with its human rights obligations under the EU-Israel trade agreement. They described the expanded Israeli military operation in Rafah as posing a grave and imminent threat that the international community must urgently confront. They asked the Commission to propose measures to be taken by the EU if it considered that Israel is in breach of its obligation under the EU-Israel trade agreement. And those suggestions will now be considered. The Deputy Mayor of Drogheda has blasted the decision by a local hotel to put up refugees. The D Hotel on the banks of the River Boyne in County Louth Town will house 500 international protection applicants. But Drogheda Deputy Mayor Kevin Callan said it will ruin local business and tourism. The first arrivals are due to check in on March 5th, it's reported. Mr Callan will be calling an emergency meeting of local reps and last night declared that the decision must be reversed. He said the announcement came without any prior consultation with Louth County Council or the elected representatives of the council to convert the town's largest hotel into an accommodation centre for international protection applicants and will be decimated. The local economy will impact on the town in the form of business closures and job losses. Some concern there, of course. And if you were watching the rugby or you've been on social media, you would have heard this guy. What a performer. Let's see if we can actually hear him. He is a cracking singer. All right, so that is Phil Coulter composed song. Music legend Phil Coulter said, Toy show sensation Stevie Mulrooney is an absolute hero after his Ireland Call performance. After the 8-year-old appeared on last year's Late Late Show, he was invited to perform the anthem before Sunday's game against Italy. Coulter, 81, told fans on his Facebook page, Stevie is an absolute hero, one of the best versions of the song I've ever heard. And they're absolutely, no doubt, it is fantastic. But another thing too, I noticed, the amount of negativity on social media surrounding that performance, which I don't get. I just saw a young lad singing his heart out, having the time of his life and making a memory that will last forever. But anyway, that's that. That's a run through some of the news, some of the papers today. What are you thinking, any of that? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. And we're still, if you want us to, after the fact that me and Lee had a bit of a row about what is or what isn't a crowbar, if you, in your family, amongst friends or whatever, have a topic that you completely disagree on, that you need us to moderate on, to define the answer, to settle a row, feel free to text us 086 60 25,000 or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. All right, we'll be back with more of the 9 till noon show after these. But first, actually, a big thanks to our newspaper sponsor.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
In the final clearance of Watson Menswear, there's great savings across top labels. A great selection of footwear, shirts and knitwear, half price. Selected suits and kids' clothing, also half price. There's dress shirts, 2 for €40, and denims, 2 for just €70. Don't miss out on some great bargains in the final clearance now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. Confirmation wear also now in stock.
Country Sundays continue at the Clanry Hotel this weekend with David James and his band. Admission €15. Overnight packages available from €75 per person sharing, including a ticket for the dance. And mark your diary for Saturday 16th of March with the Logues live at the Clanry. Tickets priced at €15, available from hotel reception, Eventbrite or at the door. But this Sunday it's David James and his band at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
The life of a Charlie's Chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Looking to upgrade your home? Ready to dine in style and lounge in comfort? Well, get ready for our sofa and dining sale happening now at Easy Living Furniture. Score incredible deals on sofas, dining sets and more. From sleek and modern to cozy and traditional. We have the perfect pieces to match your style and budget. The spectacular sofa and dining sale is now on in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
After the short break, Donegal are back in action this Saturday afternoon in Division 2 of the National Football League. Jim McGuinness' side will look to maintain their winning start by chasing a third win of the campaign against Ulster neighbours Fermanagh. Join the Highland team for full match commentary from the 2 o'clock throw-in at the O'Donnell Park in Letterkenny. Highland's coverage of Donegal in Division 2 of the National Football League is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny. For a new 241, the full range of new Renault and Dacia cars and vans are on display and ready to test drive.
Okie doke. We're joined on the programme now by Larry Donnelly, Boston attorney, University of Galway law lecturer, political columnist too with thejournal.ie. Larry, great to have you back on the show. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Great to be with you.
Yeah, and it is the year of elections right across the world, it might seem, and a lot of attention will be on what's happening in the United States. And it would seem that voters over there are becoming increasingly wary of America's two, as some would describe it, unelectable candidates. It looks like it is going to be a runoff between President Biden and President Donald Trump. I suppose just your overview of the race, and I suppose we have to presume that it is going to be those two for the purpose of this conversation, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, it looks very much like it's unavoidably going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump, a rematch that, as you say, the American people don't really want. The opinion polling shows that the majority of Americans want neither individual to be the nominee. In terms of Trump, look, he retains a huge stranglehold on the affections of a vast swathe of Republicans. And far from his legal troubles diminishing that support or hurting him, it actually seems to have expanded it. And we've seen one challenger after the other fall down. And now he only has Nikki Haley left to vanquish. And she is down 30 percentage points in her own home state, whose primary takes place next week. So Trump, has a pretty clear route. Joe Biden.
But just in relation to Trump too, and we'll go on to Biden, we're in this bizarre situation, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, that you would say, well, how is it possible that she could close that 30% gap? It would be a major controversy or something that would just blow the campaign apart. We've seen it in Ireland, we've seen it in Britain, whereby there's a particular interview and everything changes and everything can swing. But there is no controversy, it seems, that actually doesn't seem to strengthen the support of Donald Trump amongst those inclined to support him.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Haley is only holding on in the hope that something is going to land, that some element of his legal trouble is going to get so bad that it becomes untenable for him to continue. We've seen no sign-ups whatsoever of that to date, but that's been our hope. What I would say, Greg, is that, she's being funded by some very, very wealthy individuals. If she loses her home state by 30 points, those wealthy individuals are going to say, we're not going to throw good money away after bad, Nikki, and I suspect that'll be the end of the road for her.
And on to Mr. Biden, and this is a difficult one for me because, we advocate an awful lot about older people and the important role they play in society, and I don't want to come across as if I'm judging Joe Biden on his age, but he is 81, and that's almost besides the point. If you listen to him speak, a lot of what he says doesn't make sense. And what I find really quite interesting about that is that if you look at some of the footage of it, the people in attendance cheer and whoop as if what he has said has made sense. And sometimes I question if it's me that's not hearing clearly. But, when you take some of those factors together, you think, is this really the best person to be leading, one of, if not the most powerful country in the world?
No, and quite frankly, Joe Biden is not. I mean, look, I think your point about ageism is an important one. There's different types of 81. I think we all know 81-year-olds who could wipe the floor with us. So this is not an age thing, but there are different types of 81, and Joe Biden is, for lack of a better way of putting it, an old 81. And look, the Democrats knew that he had these vulnerabilities, for a long, long time. Yet they effectively boxed off the field of potential challenges and acceded fully to his ambition to seek a second term in the White House. Now, I think that was a misguided choice. Obviously, in fairness to Biden, he's the one person who has beaten Trump. He has had some successes in his presidency. He is the incumbent. That carries a lot of power. But these are unique circumstances, I think, in this instance. And I'll put it to you this way, Greg. The reality is that Joe Biden is going to have to stand toe-to-toe on a debate stage with Donald Trump for 3 90-minute debates. If any of us who watch footage or watched him, I just don't know if he's up to that. And again, Trump has had his own missteps, but people need to take this really important point. Trump plays the game by totally different rules to everybody else. It doesn't matter what he says, what he does, what he gets wrong, what he gets right, he's still going to have that fervent base of support. Joe Biden doesn't have that.
You see, in those debates, and you've really suggested this, you know what you're going to get with Donald Trump. You know what I mean? But it's how it exposes President Biden. So, in other words, Donald Trump can't really lose in those debates as such, can it? It can only be for Joe Biden to look completely incapable, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that Trump can lose is, and I think we did see this last time around, where Trump went on the attack about Joe Biden's son, who has battled, an awful lot of his own demons. And I think he did so in quite a nasty way. He did so in the context of Joe Biden referring to the son who he tragically lost. Now, I think that did evoke a lot of sympathy for Joe Biden, because a lot of parents can say, hey, I have a son who's a screw up, but I would never leave his side or never abandon him. Whereas Trump sought to exploit that. So, yeah, he can push things too far. But on the flip side, and here's what Democrats behind closed doors are desperately worried about, is what if Joe Biden has one of those senior moments on the debate stage? What if he loses track? What if there's a vacant expression on his face? It will be lethal to him politically.
I wonder what happened with Kamala Harris, because I am not across really the situation as much as many, not least you. But it kind of felt to me that, after the last election, President Biden gets them over the line, then maybe starts to step back, and they sort of start grooming Kamala Harris as the next president. Do you think that was ever the plan, or what went wrong there, that they don't believe that they can back her and had to go, or probably felt they had to go with Biden?
Well, there are a couple of things here. Appearance aside, Kamala Harris is a vibrant, articulate, attractive politician. She's got a good education, et cetera. She's got a great story to tell. That having been said, she is one of these politicians who, the more people seem to get to know her, the less they like her. Remember, she ran last time around. She had 35,000 people at her announcement. She raised $40 million in a week. And then a couple months later, she was gone. So she has her own issues. And her numbers in terms of favorability are even lower than Joe Biden's. The second point to make is that despite that, the Biden team, and Biden has a very loyal group around him, and Joe Biden has been running for president for an awful long time. And now that he finally reached the Holy Grail, the last thing that his loyalists were going to allow was for his vice president to upstage him. And again, knowing that he's, an elderly man, knowing that she has a lot of dynamic qualities, they would determine that she wouldn't upstage him. So what did they do? They gave her the most unthankable task in American politics. They said, your special assignment is going to be the southern border. God himself could not sort out the southern border. So in addition to the low profile, she's been given a thankless task. Hence, her numbers are really, really poor.
Funny story coming out this morning. Not funny, but interesting. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he'd rather a Joe Biden presidency over Donald Trump ahead of the US elections in November. Mr. Biden was more experienced, predictable person, he said in remarks, which the BBC say are sure to raise eyebrows. Is that an endorsement, or is that meddling? It's an interesting.
Yeah, I just don't know. You wouldn't get into Vladimir Putin's head. I don't know what that is all about. I mean, I think, if we to take a step back from it, I think objectively, most people would say that Donald Trump has certainly sent a lot more friendly signals in Vladimir Putin's direction than Joe Biden has. So who knows what Putin is getting at with this kind of intervention.
And just finally, facing into this election, it'll be about, Biden versus Trump. But there's the bigger picture here in terms of, a shift maybe in the world order, the importance of the dollar, across the globe, and also to what seems to be, I can't see how America can sustain its debt levels. I mean, even if you look at the interest on that debt alone, it's the numbers are absolutely mind-boggling. And then there is the issue, of course, with the southern border and what have you. I mean, really, it's almost as if Biden and Trump it's a sideshow as to the great challenges that country is facing globally. It almost feels like we're at a changing point in history.
You're absolutely right. We are at a changing point in history. You mentioned, the myriad structural issues that are there, and the cold hard facts of it. There is also the societal problem, the societal malaise in the United States, which I think has resulted from some of what you said, and has engendered the Trump presidency. To be frank, and is the reason why he is where he is. But I think to be perfectly selfish about it from a European point of view, I think these conversations need to start now. In the event of a Trump presidency, Europe is going to have to recalculate and recalibrate its defense and a whole range of other different things. And even if Biden wins, or even if Democrats win in future, America is going to be a much more inward-looking place as Americans demand they face up to the issues you mentioned. So it's going to change the global power dynamic in ways we can't even fathom right now.
Right, okay. Fascinating stuff as always. Larry, thank you very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Take care. Larry Donnelly, Boston attorney, University of Galway law lecturer, political columnist with the journal.ie. Why are we talking about the US presidential elections? Because what happens over there, either directly or indirectly, has a significant impact on your lives, although sometimes it's hard to see that. I don't know why Charlie McConalogue is Minister for the Marines, says a listener, because Charlie wouldn't know one end of a boat from the other, says a listener. Hi, Greg. You'd be on about how to keep our children safe online. Was wondering if you could give us some tips to keep them safe from the migrants. Well, there is an actual danger to the children that are online, because if you speak to Childline, the amount of children that are being groomed, abused, exploited in this country, it's crazy. It's higher than it ever was. Is it down to migrants? No. There's an old meme on the internet where it's like Spider-Man, and he says he's pointing over there and pointing over there at the same time, and effectively saying, don't look at this, look at that. If you could tell me what the present danger to children is, we can discuss that, no problem. Greg, do you have to pay your TV licence? I got another reminder in the post. By law, you have to pay your TV licence. Now, whether you do or not, that's your decision. Many have chosen not to. But I wouldn't be not paying it in the hope that at some point, Sinn Féin come into power and there's an amnesty. You could be pursued for that. They obviously have their teeth into you. So you eventually are going to have to pay it, or else you're going to be summoned. Hi, Greg. What do you think the government is paying €800,000 for transport pets from Ukraine to Ireland? When Leo was asked, he said he didn't know about it. That came up in the show yesterday. We discussed that. With the billions that are knocking around, €800,000. I don't know. A lot of people are pet lovers, and a lot of people wouldn't want pets to be abandoned behind them. I don't know. It's up to you guys. What do I think is irrelevant? The money to me is like confetti at this stage. It's being chucked around everywhere. I find it hard to get too worried about 800,000, if that makes sense. All right. Okay, we're going to be back with our next guest on the show after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
I saw your Be Good baker running by again the other day, says I to old Mr. Brennan. Ah, yes, says he. I've never seen her stand still. And she's running rings around the rest of us with our Brennan's Be Good bread. Only 60 calories a slice. 60 calories, says I. That's just a whole meal, is it? No, says he, it's the whole meal, the whole grain, and the white. 60 calories a slice and high in fibre, whatever way you slice it. That's why anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread today.
An unbelievable clearance sale is now on at Foy's in Everkenny and Ballybuffet, with massive reductions to make way for new arrivals. There's up to 70% off selected furniture display models, up to 50% off designer display curtains, and up to 50% off rolls of fabric, plus many more great savings. This sale won't last long, so call in store to Foy's in Everkenny or Ballybuffet today.
Discover the new Nissan Ariya. Discover 100% electric. Discover Japanese-inspired design that sets it apart. Discover luxury beyond expectation. Discover innovation like you've never known. Discover smooth acceleration, quiet operation, and advanced technology. Discover it today at Nissan dealers nationwide. The new Nissan Ariya from €43,500. Test drive it today and discover outstanding. Nissan, innovation that excites. Dealer delivery and related charges apply.
Save on carving and lamin essentials at Homeland. Gas Buddings debutter now €165. Milk Bar 10 compartment feeder now €179. Nutrius Ovigold and Bovigold mineral range, buy 2.5 litre, get 1 litre free. And there's 10% off the FlexiThin Classic waterproof jacket and trousers in store and online at homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available. Offers available until March 31st.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Now, you would be familiar with what's going to be and is and will continue to be until it's resolved a contentious issue, especially in the mouth of an election. It's around a number of new built houses at Lochfern Heights in Milford, which were earmarked for those on the housing list, but have been lying empty with claims that they're being used to house refugees, statements that that's not going to be the case. And then also conversations about how these houses, these 17 houses, can be taken off the private owner of them, the private developer, and to be made available for social housing. Now, the council have issued a very detailed press release in relation to this. The developer entered into a turnkey procurement process with Donegal County Council on foot of an advertisement in January 2018 and progressed through the various steps and stages of the process, including obtaining the various statutory approvals such as planning permission and so on. Immediately prior to commencement work on the site, the developer tendered his final costs to the council in 21. The council subsequently obtained department approval in February of that year in the sum of $3.47 million to acquire the 17 houses for the purpose of social housing. This was based on the maximum construction cost ceiling at the time of construction. The houses were designed and laid out to meet the specific needs of the council for Milford and the surrounding areas. The houses were substantially completed in July 22. As a result of delays in completing the construction works due to COVID-19 and inflation costs, the developer sought an uplift increase on his tendering costs. The council employed an independent quantity surveyor to identify appropriate and relevant cost increases in line with inflationary cost increases and department guidance. An increased acquisition offer was made then to the developer in March of last year, which to date has not been accepted. The uplift in cost amounted to €361,000. The uplift calculations were consistent with other developments that were appropriate within the turnkey process at the time. So the original fee, $3.47 million. The developer says costs have increased. The council had a look at that and said, look, we'll give you another €361,000 because this is consistent with other developments and what have you. The department will sanction the monies based on the year that the construction costs were incurred, which was 21 and 22. It's acknowledged that since 22, the department's sanction would be for a higher figure in respect of the construction years 23 and 24 for the same houses. This is based on the inflation and costs prevailing at the actual time of construction. The council has allocated significant resources to the delivery of this project and remains committed to acquiring these units for the existing social housing need, subject to contract. Council officials most recently met with the developer on the 10th of January this year and again reaffirmed the council's offer to acquire the 17 housing units. In the context of the developer seeking to sell the houses to an approved housing body, which was one of the suggestions, it is important to note that it's not accepted nor appropriate practice for public bodies funded by the state to be engaged in a competitive situation to acquire the same houses, where the state, through different funding mechanisms, would in essence fund the acquisition of the houses, i.e. the council's offer is on the table, backed by the government, and to go through a approved housing body, it could be seen as a competitive situation. That's my read on it, and I'm open to correction, which I might be in a moment. Such a scenario would result in driving up the cost of the houses for the taxpayer and indeed would have a knock-on effect to the private housing market with increased prices. So I thought, in fairness, someone sat down and went through that. important to read it almost in its entirety. Declan Meehan's an independent candidate in the upcoming elections. What's your take on that council press release, Declan?
Good morning, Greg. I suppose the first thing to say is I think we're finally getting to the crux of the whole issue here. This is a statement that has been sought after from the council for several months now at this stage. So it's very welcome that the council has finally put pen to paper and outlined the issue from their, I suppose, perspective. My take on it is this. What we have in that statement is, as you said there, Greg, a lot of detail, but there's actually quite a key omission in the statement as well. And that is that last year in 2023, the council were actually, in writing, confirmed that they were supporting the approved housing body, which is Cooperative Housing Ireland, in their attempts to acquire the 17 units. So that's a huge thing. The council had initially decided that they were out of the running because they couldn't afford the price that the developer was looking for, and they weren't willing to meet the price that he was seeking. They then decided, okay, well, we're going to support an application to CAF, which is the funding structure through the Department of Housing, to purchase the houses through an approved housing body, which is Cooperative Housing Ireland, so that the houses can still remain in the social housing stock. And crucially, and this is really the main thing here that I think we really need to focus on, that they would be delivered for 17 families in the Milford area on the housing waiting list, which should be everyone's priority. So there was a stage between June 2023 up to October 2023 when the council were actively engaged in supporting Cooperative Housing Ireland from doing exactly what they've now said in this statement that they cannot do.
But would that not be an acceptable practice, Declan? That there's ongoing negotiations. I'm not sure if it's with the same staff within the council, but to also pursue options, to pursue other options. Is that not responsible? Is that not responsible from the council to say, right, we'll look at these both options and see actually which is the best way of delivering houses?
Well, absolutely, Greg. But surely if they were allowing Cooperative Housing Ireland to go ahead with the deal at the amount of money that the developer was looking for, then inherent is that the council were accepting that they were out of the running at that stage because they were essentially handing over responsibility to the approved housing body to purchase them instead, because they had a greater ability to meet the price that the developer was looking for. So in that sense, you know, there's a paper trail, a very clear paper trail, some of which I had seen and I had sent on to your producer, Caroline, which shows exactly that. So, you know, this anti-competitive or anti-competition directive that they have been citing, or kind of principle that they've been citing in that statement today, it would seem that you know, wasn't relevant last year, but now it is relevant this year.
Yeah, but in fairness, Declan, in fairness, right?
Yeah.
So there was the contractor. There was an initial agreement, which we understand as to why people come back out of it, of 3.47 million. These houses that were constructed in the years that they were constructed. He says, right, that's not really enough because it actually cost me more to build these houses. So they went back and had a look at it and say, right, we accept that. There's a €361,000 uplift for you. So you'll get your 3.47 million, and we'll give you an extra €361,000 because we want these houses for social housing. And that uplift obviously is not based on how much it would cost to build them now or how much you could sell them for now or last year. It's the 21-22 period. So the council did go back. They got more money. The contractor's getting more money than he initially wanted. There comes a point, does there not, whereby we have to applaud the council for being responsible with public money. They've put more money on the table, and some might say, well, is this person holding out to maximise? You know what I mean? Like, so what else can the council do here?
I think that's completely fair. I think that if it's beyond the council's means, where they can't meet the price that's been looked for, and also just to point out that the uplift works out at about €17,000 per unit of the 17 units. So I think a lot of people will kind of will realise that 17,000 of an increase on the total cost of building a 2 or 3 bed house in that period is actually relatively modest.
But we'd also need the figures from the contractor, from the developer. By the way, like say for instance, I don't know where he sourced the materials or they sourced the materials. You know what I'm on about? Like we don't have all the facts as to why the cost of building these houses increased. We can only trust that the council has said, right, in terms of what we can judge from an inflationary perspective, it would have cost $361,000 more to build these houses, but they can't cover all of extra costs that a developer incurs, because how can we account for, and I'm not saying this happened, a poor decision in terms of ordering the wrong windows or something? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, but the fact, and as you say, we don't have those figures, we don't have those facts, but the fact that we do have is that, and as you said, the council have decided that they don't want to pursue it for that price from, I suppose, a financial standpoint and out of concern for taxpayers' money. But it is the council's prerogative to manage its own finances. But my issue is that they should not then go and block someone else from buying houses who can afford the amount that the developer is looking for.
But where does the money? Declan,
would deliver the houses.
Of course,
for the 17 families.
I get you, but where does
it's not just about prudence.
Okay, for that housing body,
it's also about not blocking.
Of course, for that housing body though, where does that money actually in reality come from? It comes from the state.
So the financing comes from the state.
Exactly. And then the council funding. The council. I understand, Declan, but the council money also comes from the state. So you could have a situation, and I'll say it's me, not this contractor. I've got 18 houses, and I say, I don't like the offer the council's given me, which is money from the state. I might actually deal with this approved housing body, which also has access to money from the state, which might give me more money. I mean, can we allow developers or contractors to have that kind of pick and choose situation? Why would any contractor then not pull out of a procurement process with the council if down the line they can get more money out of an approved housing body? Do you not see that that in terms of accountability, transparency, and delivery of property with the taxpayer in mind, that the council kind of has to take a stand on this?
Absolutely, and this is the stand that they've taken, is that they're not going to purchase the houses because they don't have the means to do that. I think that one of the things that this has highlighted is that there is obviously a discrepancy in the system which allows funding for housing bodies to be able to pay more money, because there is private money involved in those transactions as well. So it's not as simple to say that it comes from one part of the taxpayers' money or another part of the taxpayers' money, and it's all from the same pot. An approved housing body has a different funding structure, which is a mixture of private money and also taxpayers' money, which will always allow them to offer more money should it come to it. One of the issues that this has also highlighted is the pre-COVID turnkey acquisitions were not set up with contracts. They were set up with an agreement which allowed people, either party, to walk away thereafter. And that's exactly what has happened here. So this is all within the regulations that existed at that point in time. Yeah. This is a failing of housing policy again.
Okay.
I mean, everything that we come back to.
But I get you, Declan, but how do we know? But how do we know that? How do we know that 3.78 million is not actually a good price that the council's offering for 17 houses? I mean, 3.78 million is a lot of money.
Well, it is a lot of money, but it's for 17 units. I mean, look at what we have to look at is how are these houses going to be acquired for social housing? If the developer has said that they cannot sell to the council because it is not meeting their costs and their expected profits on that, but they can sell to an approved housing body.
But local authorities can't be held over barrels by developers, though. This would set a precedent whereby there would be no point even entering it to a turnkey procurement, because down the line, if a better offer comes, then those houses are lost to social housing. That at some point, the council surely has to draw a line in the sand, Declan, and say, this is how we're delivering houses, 3.78 million for 17 units. That's the price.
Sorry, Greg, but that's actually not true, right? Because now, whenever anyone enters into a turnkey acquisition, they have contracts signed.
Right, okay.
And so therefore, whenever a developer, so that means that a developer cannot now hold the council over a barrel for future projects, because contracts will be signed at the time of the agreement, whereas this was not the case prior to that. So you have, at the minute, a number of developments in the county that are in similar position, where there are houses being built under turnkey acquisitions pre-COVID with no contract. The developers are looking for more money because of the increase in costs, and now the council is not supporting them to be able to
your presumption, though, is, and generally across the board, your presumption is because if it's an increase in costs. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't know, we don't really know, unless we got a look at the books, a look at how the building process was done, how things were acquired, if there were no mistakes that the taxpayer might be expected to, you know what I mean? We can't, I mean, you're taking... not this developer, because I'm not speaking specifically about them, but you're saying that if they say, right, the prices have gone up, now we want this, that we just bow to that. I mean, that just says the council over a barrel, Declan. Do you not see that whilst we want these houses, of course, we can't have the local authority and on our money, because we can see what's happening at the hospital down in Dublin, someone say, right, actually, I need another 500 because the cost has gone up a little bit and I have to maintain my profits.
Yeah, 100%. No, I understand that. But as I've said, this is a handful of projects that are currently in the county where this is affecting. This will not happen again because the regulations have changed. The housing policies that we have had in this country have privatised the delivery of social housing. So, Greg, you and I both know that the privatisation agenda that has been driven in this country for the past 20, 30, 40 years has resulted in scenarios like this, where developers, whether it's for a hospital or whether it's for a social housing project, will invariably look to make profits. That's the nature of privatisation. So again, it's a failing of housing policy that we've been left into this position.
But you want...
But just what I want to say, Greg...
Briefly, Declan, please, yeah.
What I want to say is... Yes. What I want to say is, here's the crux of the thing at the minute. The houses are sitting there vacant. There is no deal and there's no negotiation between the developer and the council. There is between the developer and the the Cooperative Housing Ireland approved housing body. So there's only one deal to be made. The council are currently blocking that. They have omitted from that statement today that for 6 months, almost 6 months last year, they were pursuing that as an option, but changed course just before Christmas. So clarity on why that is would be very necessary. This statement is very welcome, but there's another statement.
But do you think do you know what the figure is? Do you know the figure that is on the table between this approved housing body and the contractor?
Yeah, well, from my memory, Greg, when the contractor was on with you himself there a few weeks ago, that was made clear in terms of the amount was obviously greater than what the council are offering, but it's lesser than what.
But what is the figure? I wonder what the figure is. Yeah, but they weren't built today. They were built. They were built in 20 and 21. They weren't built today.
Yes, of course they were. Yeah.
So we have to compare apples with apples. We can't compare apples with oranges. I mean, I would love the car I bought 6 years ago to get new car money for it now. But these costs for the contractor were accrued in 2021. Comparing the price of these houses to how much it would cost to deliver them now is a little bit disingenuous, isn't it? I know you're not doing it.
But the difference in... No, and believe me, Greg, I am not on the side of the developer. I'm not on the side of the councillor. Or on the council. I am on the side of those 17 families who want these houses. I can tell you that the difference in the figure between the uplifted figure that the council have offered and what the contractor has secured in a deal or should be able to secure in a deal from Cooperative Housing Ireland is in the ballpark figure of €500,000. So that's the difference in the two figures, $500,000 for 17 houses.
Thanks for the conversation. I genuinely appreciate it. Declan Meehan, independent candidate in the upcoming local elections.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're more than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board na Mona.
At B&Q, get 3 for 2 on selected coloured emulsion, including paint mixing. So bring colour to your home with big brands like Dulux and Valspar for less. Shop in-store or online at DIY.ie. You can do it. Exclusions apply. The value of every third item per single transaction in descending price order deducted. Ends 26th of February. See DIY.ie.
Discover the ultimate experience in the Spad Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel Bundoran with our tranquil Japanese-themed garden, rejuvenating massages, revitalizing facials, luxurious spa baths, pampering body treatments, not forgetting the outdoor hot tub and sauna in our secret garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time, or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spad Orchids transport you to another world. For more, see holyroodhotel.com.
Are you ready to elevate your driving experience? Look no further than iMotors, your only Nissan dealership in the Northwest. The Nissan X-Trail has been crowned Large SUV of the Year. That's right, it's not just an SUV, it's an award-winning experience on wheels. Available in 4-wheel drive and a 7-seater. Visit us today at imotors.ie to find out more.
In the next 15 seconds, you're going to find out where is the best place in the Northwest to buy a bed or mattress. It's Restex Beds and Furniture Mountaintop, Letterkenny, where comfort meets style.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, let's have a look at that weather forecast for you right now. And I can tell you that it's going to be a dull and misty start with outbreaks of rain and drizzle and hill and coastal fog too. Rain, though, will clear east of the region early this afternoon, followed by scattered showers and a few sunny spells. Highest temperatures today of 10 to 12 degrees. Now, the last conversation ran on a little, so apologies. We're going to be going to the news just a couple of minutes late. Stay tuned, back after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Across a wide range of categories, the 2024.ie Digital Town Awards are a chance to showcase your town's digital project. Apply now at digitaltownawards.ie. Brought to you by .ie, Ireland's national domain registry. Terms and conditions apply.
Fabric World Maydown Derry biggest ever winter sale now on trend and in stock curtain and upholstery fabrics all on sale. Over 3,000 metres now half price or less. Free curtain design ready-made curtains up to half price and lining from £1 with fabulous rates on the Euro in store at Fabric World Maydown Derry.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
The County Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Association, in conjunction with the Slieve League Blackface Sheep Breeders Association and the Brock of Perth Blackface Sheep Breeders Association, will hold an in-lamb female and dry hogget sale at Ballybuffet and Stranraer Mart this Saturday, the 17th of February at 12 noon. The sale will be available to view and bid on mardi.ie.
The Redcastle Oceanfront Golf and Spa Hotel would like to invite you to their wedding fair on Sunday the 18th of February from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Meet the wedding team, top industry suppliers with breathtaking views, refreshments and more. We hope to see you there.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7, where you can enjoy dinner and drinks in Woodbury Grill, Bar and Restaurant before bowling in Arena 7's state-of-the-art lanes. See arena7.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty at the news desk at 10 o'clock.
Donegal County Council says it remains committed to the acquisition of 17 houses at Lochfairn in Milford for social housing and met with the developer as recently as the 10th of last month. 3 weeks ago, the developer told Highland Radio there was an agreement, but no contracts were signed, and the council withdrew when the process rose. He said he had subsequently done a deal with the Cooperative Housing Ireland group, but the council would not be supporting that deal. The council says that would effectively put two state-funded agencies into competition. Donald Kavanagh has more.
In a statement, the council says on foot of an advert in January 2018, the developer entered into a turnkey procurement process with them and just before work started in January 2021, submitted his final costs. The council obtained approval from government the following month to acquire the 17 houses for just under €3.5 million. The houses were substantially completed in July 2022, but as a result of delays in completing the construction works due to COVID-19 and rising inflation, the developer sought an increase on his tendered costs. The council made an increased acquisition offer in March last year, which to date has not been accepted. In the context of the developer seeking to sell the houses to an approved housing body, the council says it's neither accepted nor appropriate practice for public bodies funded by the state to be engaged in a competitive situation to acquire the same houses, as it would drive up the cost to the taxpayer and also have an adverse impact on the private housing market.
2 teenagers have been confirmed to have meningitis, while one further case has been deemed as probable, all attending the same school. The Department of Public Health West and North West were notified of the cases in the West earlier this month. Close contacts have been identified and offered preventative treatment as appropriate. More information on the signs and symptoms of meningitis can be found on our website, highlandradio.com. Superintendent Grady Sheridan is to become Donegal's new Garda Chief Superintendent. The role has been empty now since December 2022. The Rathmullen native will take up her post on Monday. The CEO of Derry Chamber believes the British Labour Party is committed to the future of the North West. It follows a meeting between the Chamber and British Shadow Secretary of State Hilary Benn this week. The importance of Derry City Airport and the need to upgrade the A5 were among the topics on the agenda. CEO of Derry Chamber Anna Doherty says while there could be a Labour-led government by the end of this year, regardless, Chamber will continue to raise the needs of the region.
They are very keen to support the North West. They were very receptive to the arguments that we put forward and have a lot of ties there themselves already. He came with his Shadow Minister, Fleur Anderson. So I think that shows a lot of commitment from their part. But whoever takes the positions at the next election, we will be always arguing the case for the North West and for the North West City region.
There are calls for a former RTE Chief Financial Officer to hand back a €450,000 exit package. It was revealed yesterday that former CFO Brenda O'Keefe was paid €450,000 when she left her job at the state broadcaster. RTE is also going to have to pay a tax liability due on the payoff. Chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, Brian Stanley, says the money should be repaid to the state broadcaster.
3 people at the very top, 2 people who arranged this and who has signed off on by the head of HR, somebody else that's in an executive management position and part of that team, totally unawares to the ordinary workers in RTE. Morally, they should be handed back. There was no basis for it within the procedures. It was completely wrong. We knew that this figure was in excess of 400,000.
Uisce Éireann say repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to Clonmally, Ballyliffin and surrounding areas of North Inishowen today. Works are scheduled to take place until 3 o'clock this afternoon. The utility recommends that people allow 2 to 3 hours after the estimated restoration time for their supply to fully return. The basket of goods used to determine inflation rates here is being updated. The CSO will announce details of the changes later today. Tara Duggan has the details.
For the past 75 years, the CSO has monitored the price of 600 commonly bought household goods to establish if consumer prices are rising or falling. From the monthly analysis, it establishes the rate of inflation in Ireland. Since the process began, the items in the shopping basket have changed to keep pace with shopping habits and updates in technology. In past decades, things like corsets, chewing tobacco and cassette tapes have made way for more modern goods like avocados, music downloads and e-cigarettes. The list is generally updated every year, but the COVID pandemic means this latest update has been delayed until today.
Looking now to weather, a dull and misty start today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle and hill and coastal fog too. The rain will clear east this morning, followed by scattered showers and a few sunny spells. Highs of 10 or 11 degrees in light southwest winds. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, the 15th of February. The death has taken place of Charlie Shields, Tarry, High Glen, Carrigart. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there on Saturday to the Church of St John the Baptist for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on the Miva Parish Facebook page. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Katie Gallagher, Derry Hassan, Downings. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny at 2 o'clock this afternoon, going to her sister Mary Gallagher's residence at Doonwell, Termon. Removal from there tomorrow to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Umla Old Cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on the Miva Parish Facebook page. The death has occurred of Charlie Coyle, Isle of Doe, Clonmany. His remains will repose at his late residence from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 20 to 10, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany, for Requiem Mass at 10:30, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Charlie's funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of any family member or McFeely Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Sadie Harkin, Rinboy Fanad and Coatbridge, Scotland. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny at 4 o'clock this afternoon, going to her late residence at Rinboy Fanad. Requiem Mass on Saturday morning at 11 in St Mary's Church, Fanavolti, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Beaumont Hospital ICU ward, care of any family member or Eamon Scott, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Nan Donaghy, née Logue, 54 Gortaleck Road, Dunnamana, formerly of Bonsglen, Claudy. Reposing at her son Seamus Donaghy's home at 108 Lisnara Road, Dunnamana, from 6 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Killena, Dunnamana, at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the Donaghadee Parish YouTube channel. The death has taken place of George Peoples, Leitbeg, Ballyheeran, Fanad. George's funeral service will take place at Christ the Redeemer Church, Rosnakill, Fanad, at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral service will be streamed live on the McAteer Funeral Directors Facebook page. The house is strictly private, please. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice or Parkinson's Ireland, care of any family member or McAteer Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Sister Loretto McKean, Breda, late of Abbey House, Rathfarnham and Falcarra. Reposing in Fannigan's Funeral Home, Wilbrook, Rathfarnham, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock today, with evening prayer at 4:30. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 10 in the Church of the Annunciation, Rathfarnham, followed by burial in Abbey House Cemetery. And the death has taken place of Vincent Doherty, Clough-Finn, Ballindrate, Lifford, reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlock at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
After a long, hard day, treat yourself to something luxurious. Your drive home. The sleek new Nissan X-Trail has a dreamy, luxurious interior and is now available with e-Power, Nissan's unique hybrid driving system that lets you experience the pleasure of electric driving without the need to plug in. And it's available in 5 or 7 seats, so even the school run feels like a spa break. The all-new Nissan X-Trail with e-Power. Drive it to believe it. Book your test drive today at your local Nissan dealer. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning. If you're just after joining us, you missed an interesting first hour. Right, to some of your comments. Morning. What age has your child to be before they can get their ashes on Wednesday? Thank you. Well, I can tell you that there's no age limit, but it is to remind us to fast. So perhaps First Communion age is suitable, but it's a parent's choice, a guardian's choice. But there is no age limit as such. Greg, are you for real? You see no problem with the government spending €800,000 on transporting pets from Ukraine. Buttons, you say. It's my buttons and yours. Now, what... I get what you're saying, right? Maybe I was a bit flippant in what I was saying. But the cost of whether people agreed with it or not, or agreed with it at the time but no longer, the cost of bringing Ukrainians here and housing them is billions upon billions. My point being is, at the time, if the government went to the public and said, look, we're going to be spending, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 billion on, I don't know exactly what the figure is, but let's just say that we're going to spend like 3 or 4 billion in a couple of years in taking Ukrainians, this is at the start, taking Ukrainians over to Ireland, housing them, keeping them safe from the war. Now, what about us if we also spent another €800,000 and it means that their dogs and cats wouldn't be left behind them? What would the population have said back then? Maybe they would have said, are you serious? Let them leave the dogs and cats behind them. Or would they have said, right, in the widest scale of things, an extra €800,000? My flippancy and reference to buttons actually comes a little bit from frustration, not on that issue, but generally speaking, in that it just seems that money is like confetti. This money tree that we were told never existed does exist. So I take your point. Am I happy €800,000 is being spent in this area? I mean, obviously there's better places it can be spent, but I take your point, and I'm going to read your message on, by the way, just so you don't think that I'm in any way editorialising what you've got to say. But anyway, in that case, Miss O'Keefe's package from RTE was even smaller buttons. Maybe we should not bother about anything if it's less than a few million. That appears to be your opinion. I don't understand your logic. What people are complaining about is the perceived manner in which some people are being treated differently to others. People are waiting for years to get redress for houses falling down around them, yet Ukrainians and other immigrants can apply to have their pets brought to Ireland, and the money is there right away. This is what is causing divide and dissent in our country. Believe me, if this doesn't stop, I'm afraid it will not end well. The government would need to do something before it's too late. And thank you for your comment. Do I think it's okay? I don't think it's okay, but it just in the wider scale of things. Anyway, so an off-the-cuff remark. You've had your say too, so hopefully you feel heard. I read yesterday that Ms O'Keefe received an exit package of €45,000. The report said that she did not qualify for this payment, and it's $450,000, and it hadn't been approved by the board of directors. I worked out that it took 2,812 licence fee payers for the year to make up that payment. There's no mention of the current DG looking to get that money recovered or getting the Gardaí to investigate if a crime was committed with public money. I've always paid my TV licence, but I can clearly see why the public are deciding that enough is enough and not paying. I can't see a court being very harsh in view of recent Oireachtas revelations. Well, do you remember that judge back in the day? The industrial military complex runs the US. It's irrelevant who the president is. Anyone who thinks different is much mistaken. Greg, don't see why you are discussing politics in a country that's supporting the killing of 8,000 children. Then I suppose then the next debate is, what's a child and so on and so forth. I know there was a protest, which we weren't given advance notice of, a protest outside Letterkenny University Hospital on the issue I believe you're referencing yesterday. Okay, why can't the developer of the houses in Milford not produce audited accounts to the council? Maybe they do, I don't know. On the houses, why were there not contracts signed before they were built? Shows the council and government could not run a hen house. Too late closing the door when the horses bolted. Well, that appears to have changed now. I think it was as much to protect the taxpayer as it was the contractor, that both parties could pull out if they need be. How has the price gone up if these houses were built in 2018? Which is the question I was putting to Declan there, who's not a spokesperson for the developer, by the way. But I mean, when you talk about these issues, you have to have a robust debate, don't you? It's believed the housing body is pulled out, and that's the issue, says another caller. Well, at this point, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. Right, okay. Been really, really busy. We're going to take a break and come back with more of your comments. On to more lighter stuff now, if that's okay. And the crowbar debate at the top of the show. Lee Gooch produced what appears to be an incredibly long nail. Now, I'm being a little bit facetious there. Of course, it's not a long nail. And the debate was it a crowbar? It seems it is a crowbar. But there's different views out there saying it isn't. And one says, Greg, let me see. Greg, it's also called a Jimmy bar. Okay, very good. Greg, a crowbar is about 5 foot tall straight, and a nail bar can be anywhere between 1 and 3 foot long with a bend on the top of it. That comes in from Ewan. Well, that description, Ewan, matches his crowbar. Good morning, Greg. You've never seen a crowbar before. It was a very common piece of tool within the construction industry. Kind regards. Of course I did. I worked on building sites for 3 or 4 years, and it was tough. I saw how tough it was. But even if I had saw this thing, if I'd seen it, would I have known it a crowbar? Probably not. Greg, you're talking about a nail bar. Big slice of humble pie for Greg, indeed. Well, I'm starving. I'll eat anything. All right, thanks very much for that. Nikita Gallaghan, or Gallahan. I'll start that again. Nikita Gallahan and Port getting married today in Drumkeen. Best wishes from Marie and Emma. Have a lovely day, folks. We're also looking for your family debates, because me and Gooch, we're like family now at this stage, certainly radio family. We were debating what is a nail bar, a crowbar, a Jimmy bar, whatever it might be. And listen, there's no doubt about it, Lee's right, but anyway, say nothing. And then we were wondering if there's any debates in your house that we can help resolve. You know, things that you disagree on across the dinner table, in front of the telly, whatever it might be. Family debates here. There's an ongoing tie in our house as to what swipe right means. I say it means you swipe a photograph from left to right. My family say you swipe from right to left. I would like to settle this argument, as I may need it if I'm ever on Tinder. Swipe right. Wow, that's a goodie. All right, swipe right then. Let's sort this one out for them. Does that mean you swipe the photograph from left to right, or I'm going to say it has to be left to no, you can't. You swipe from right to left. No, that can't be swipe right. No, it has to be. I'm afraid I'm going to go with your family here. You swipe a photograph from left to right. No, you're right. Sorry, your family's wrong. I'm backing you on that one. Anyone want to add to that? Does anyone know why smokeless coal seems to have a lot of smoke when you first light the fire? Does this mean smokeless coal is not actually smokeless and has a percentage of smoke in it? Or is my understanding of the word smokeless wrong? We argue about this all the time, but no one has come up with the answer. Is it possible the smoke is coming off your firelighters and not actually the coal? Or whatever, or kindling, or whatever you might put under the smokeless coal? Is there any smoke? This is another family debate we're going to sort out here, folks. I don't know the answer to this one, but does smokeless coal smoke initially when you light it, or is it the accelerant, i.e. the firelighter or the wood under the smokeless coal that's creating the smoke? And once it, of course, is expired, the smoke is gone. Another family debate. Settle those for us. Keep them coming in. We want love, peace and harmony for the rest of this week heading into the weekend.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 15th of February, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €8,400 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 7. The jackpot number is 88. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 36, 1, 87, 27, 20, 24, 59, 49, 68, and finally 38. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Letterkenny Summer Sessions presents Blind Boy Podcast live at Big Top Letterkenny on August 18th, 2024. Following sellout live shows worldwide, the renowned podcaster is bringing his acclaimed show to Letterkenny Summer Sessions for a fully seated, highly anticipated Sunday evening live podcast. Tickets on sale this Friday from 10 a.m. Only $39.90 plus booking fee. See Summer Sessions on social media for all information.
Relay for Life Donegal is back and is now open for team registrations. As a community, we relay together to celebrate cancer survivorship, remember those we've lost and fight back by raising awareness. Will you join us? Gather your friends and family and enter your team. Register today at DonegalRelayForLife.com. Together, we can make a difference.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
So during the COVID pandemic, you'd remember a lot of money was spent by government to sort of say to nurses around the country, people working in medicine, come home. Your country needs you effectively during that crisis because of the shortages. We're seeing the same again now with the construction, the amount of construction workers that we need. There's another call for people to come home and help build the country up. Your country needs you as such. And these can prove quite controversial. Right, so we're joined on the programme now by Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's lovely to speak to you.
Hey there, Greg. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Right, so, I mean, you know, I'm not sure if you answered a government call to come home, but you certainly did come home. Talk to us a little bit about your story and your experience, Anne-Marie, because I think it's a really important point that you're making here.
Yeah, no problem, Greg. Well, to be honest, what triggered me to make this call was basically, as you just mentioned, the different articles and the politicians calling for everyone to return home to help build the country. Well, to be honest, back in July 22, I did return home. Myself and my family were living in South London. Due to a family death, my dad passed away. We ended up coming home to support Mum and to, I guess, help carry on the family business. So me and the family up sticks, basically sort of overnight, if I'm being honest, and returned back to Malin in North Inishowen. Obviously, we decided to stay with 3 young kids. One of the first things I had to do was get the kids started in school. So basically, one of the first questions on the form was, who is your kid's GP? So I thought, okay, right, I need to reach out to all the local practices and try and get a doctor for the kids. So at the time, this was probably August, September, during the summer of 22, reached out to every GP practice in Inishowen, well, certainly North Inishowen, and was told, I'm sorry, we've got no capacity at the minute, we can't take you on, can you phone back in a month or two? So I thought, no problem, thinking naively, I'll phone back in a month or two, I'm sure there'll be maybe a free space. Phone back in a month or two, still no place, another month or two, still no place. Roll forward a year later, this is July 23, still no GP places, still no room for myself, my husband, or the kids in any of the GPs. Now, this is 5 or 6 GPs I phoned in the North Inishowen area. Obviously getting a little bit frustrated. My little girl Delta, who was starting preschool, needed to get her preschool jabs. Of course, I couldn't get them anywhere in Inishowen, so lo and behold, as much, believe it or not, I had to fly myself and Delta back to London to get her preschool jabs because nobody would take us on in Inishowen. So obviously getting quite frustrated, and then phoning the HSE, I was told.
But just before you get to that, just before you get to that, Anne-Marie, because say for instance over that period, hopefully no one did, but what would you do in that situation if one of the children needed an antibiotic, or if you or your partner felt unwell? Is there any options when you don't actually have your own GP in that situation?
Well, Greg, that did actually happen. One of the kids had an ear infection.
Yeah.
And so I had, again, went round every practice saying, listen, this was at maybe 8 or 9 at a school morning. The kid was screaming, crying with pain. It was obviously, obvious the kid had an infection, and they needed an antibiotic. So again, phoning around all the practices, and what I got told was, I'm sorry, we cannot see you. We advise you to go to Letterkenny A&E. Wow. And I was like, you're telling me to take a kid who's got an ear infection, it's neither an accident or an emergency, to go up from Malin to Letterkenny to sit for God knows how long because of an ear infection. And the advice was just a bit crazy, really. But we obviously waited and ended up going to see NowDoc that evening. And but at least the kids, we got seen by one of the GPs in NowDoc that evening.
Right. Okay. So thanks for that. That makes that was really worth talking about, because that's talks to probably some of the reason as to why there's so much pressure on Letterkenny University Hospital. So then, after all of this frustration, you continue your engagement then with the HSE. So pick it up from there, Anne-Marie, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I was advised then from the HSE that actually, if you are eligible for a medical card as such, once you have refusal from 3 or more GP practices, that they will assign you a GP. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, myself and my husband aren't eligible, but with the kids being under 8, at the time the scheme was for under 6s, had free medical care, but then that got extended to under 8s late last summer. So I was told then that just to present a letter of refusal, basically, to the HSE, and they would assign a GP. So finally, after probably 3 or 4 months, because it's now October 23, the 3 kids finally got assigned a GP. So I thought, great, at least the kids are sorted. Me and my husband will deal with it for the moment. But thankfully, the kids haven't been ill. We hadn't needed to see a GP until the 1st of February, so this was 2 weeks ago. One of the kids was sick one morning, so I phoned up the GP practice that is assigned to the kids and asked could I make an appointment. The response I got from the GP practice was, I'm sorry, we haven't heard of your kid. We are full capacity. We cannot see you. I said, well, I have a GP visit card in my hand. This is the doctor that's been assigned to the kid, so can you check again? They come back and said, we haven't accepted your child. We don't have capacity. We cannot see you. So
just at that point, before you move on again, Anne-Marie, at that point, did they not say, well, listen, we don't have you on record, but obviously you've a sick child in the house. Bring them in and we'll have a quick look at them. And then we'll sort it out down the line. Like, was it not like? There was no offer of.
Greg, I got told in no uncertain circumstances we cannot see your child. Like, it was repeated multiple times. We cannot see your child. Wow. We just don't have the capacity.
Right. Okay. So there ensued, I presume, a three-way between you, the HSE, and the GP's practice.
Exactly. So over the past 2 weeks, there has been a ping pong between every other day, me phoning the GP saying, okay, the HSE has told me, and the HSE words were, the doctor as assigned to your child has a duty of care to see your child. Mm-hmm. And the GP practice, the response was, no, we do not have capacity. The GP was assigned incorrectly, that we cannot see your child. So as you can imagine, I've been phoning the HSE, then phoning the GP, going back to the HSE. it's been ridiculous the past 2 weeks, Greg.
But it's also
I'm
really, I don't know, it depends on you. It depends on your personality too, Anne-Marie, but it actually really kind of makes it awkward if the GP's practice is actually forced to see your children. You know, ringing them up or landing at the surgery, like, kind of, it puts you in a bit of a sticky
They're not
wicket,
going to want to see me.
You know, as if, oh, there's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay. Now, that's still ongoing. But what about you and your husband then? Because, I mean, obviously, thankfully, it seems like you haven't really needed any medical assistance in the last close on 2 years, let's not forget. But you still, neither of the two, you have a G. If he wants to go, or you want to go and get your bloods done, or your blood pressure checked or monitored, or a 24-hour blood pressure monitor or something like that. You have no outlet for that at all, you and him.
Greg, we have absolutely no access to medical in Donegal. So as I mentioned, when I phoned the HSE, they had said that, well, if you were eligible for a medical card, we could assign you a GP. But because you're effectively private, we cannot do anything for you. So we have no access to any doctors, no access to health checks, no access to anything at the minute, which is what really, really frustrated and riled me up was, you know, politicians are calling people home to build the country or rebuild the county, and they can't look after the people who are already home. The social health and infrastructure just isn't there.
Now, also too, just in terms of what
family.
you're contributing here as well, because that's really quite important in terms of, business-wise, socially, you're fully involved, intertwined and adding to the community, and yet within that community, you can't actually access basic medical primary care.
Yeah. Now, not to be controversial in any way, shape or form, but we come home here to help a family business to keep going, employs local people. You know, we're fully involved in the community. I even got roped into, the Parents Association in the school. We're hugely involved in the local GAA, willing to help out with everything. But at the minute, the social infrastructure isn't there to help us out.
There's an obvious thing here as well, and this is wherein lies the issue for a lot of people in that, you're working, you're contributing. People can't work for many different reasons, and fair play, they get access to a GP and get looked after, and rightly they should. Obviously, there's an awful lot of people now have come to this country and they get access to a GP. Not that you have any issue with either of those two categories of people that I mentioned, but you have to feel, because it would be a perfectly normal human emotion to say, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I? Why is my family so insignificant that I'm 2 years fighting, and literally fighting, not literally fighting because that implies fisticuffs, for basic health care for me and my children and my partner, my husband?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nobody likes to use the word discrimination, but why are we being discriminated against? Like that's what it feels like. It's what have we done wrong? We've come home, but as I say, no help. Yeah,
I spoke to a couple. They were I don't use the word elderly, but they were older, but they weren't older, if you know what I mean, and. He and her moved back to North Inishowen, or were going to move back to North Inishowen, and simply couldn't move back to North Inishowen because they couldn't get a GP. So that's two people that wanted to move back to Ireland, to retire to Ireland, spend their retirement money, add to the community and what have you. They literally can't move back, or couldn't move back to North Donegal because they needed the comfort or the essential service of access to a GP. That's the kind of influence on people's lives this is having.
Yeah. So I ask our politicians, what are you doing? What are they doing to help? But we don't get an answer. So,
and even if the HSE compels this GP's practice to take you on, there is actually still no solution for you and your partner. You still have no access to blood tests, and as I said, stuff that over the last while, I've nothing wrong with me as such, but over the last while, being a certain age, there's certain things you have to get checked up on now and again. I don't take it for granted, but you go to your GP and you do that. If you don't have a GP, what do you do?
I don't know the answer to that question, because I keep phoning and hope that someone will, if the kids get sorted, maybe they'll let us in the door too. So almost 2 years down the line, I still have an answer to that.
All right, Anne-Marie, it's a very interesting aspect to this call on people to come home, because that's precisely what you did. Very sadly, it was due to a bereavement, but over here, keeping employment going, generating employment. But there's no room at the inn for you, the GP inn, so to speak. And I just think it's awful that you have found yourself sort of in a tete-a-tete with a local GP over just getting basic care for your children, because it's not right in a small community and everyone knows each other. You shouldn't be put in that position or be made feel like that. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, very interesting points. Incredibly well made, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
No problem, Greg. Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. What do you think? 086 60 25,000. Lack of GP services forces Donegal mother to head to London so that her child can access healthcare. Mary says if the HSE assign you to a GP, they can take you on, or are supposed to, even if the GMS panel is full. But that's not the case, Mary, unfortunately. Jacqueline says the doctor's practice in my area, which is the same area this caller was in, although it's south in Nishon, were taking on new patients a couple of weeks ago. They still might be. Carol says it's a disgrace. I'm glad my children have grown up. Francis, I personally think it's a disgrace, yet people coming from other countries can get a GP no bother. Actually, this, like everything else, is full to capacity. It's really about time our government starts looking after its own people and children first. And I bet you're keeping a roof over the other people's families by providing work for them. But as far as I can see, this all goes unnoticed. I'd be in touch with the Ombudsman and voice your opinion. Plus, if you take a GP card for the said doctor, then I'd be reporting them as well. But most importantly, I hope your son is in better form and you get this resolved. Another, I was just about to say this, Ukrainians all got medical cards and a spot with the local GP as soon as they were placed into hotel B&Bs. Catherine says, disgraceful, make sure we highlight this at the next election. Angela, terrible to learn this is the situation, especially when you have children who can become ill very quickly. Well, young children really get something every 6 weeks. Doesn't always require a visit to the GP, but Kathleen, that's terrible. So lucky here in Aaronmore can get an appointment at the drop of a hat. Sally says, that's the way things are now. Go to book an appointment with a doctor and they tell you it would be a day or maybe two if you're lucky before you get one. Some people wait longer than 2 days, but yes, I take it. Your point. Anne, Mary and Tia all believe it's a disgrace, as does Tracy. Not a bit wonder Letterkenny Hospital is able to cope or unable to cope with patients in the ED when some people that could be seen by a GP have no other choice but to head to the hospital if the GP won't even let people in the door. Karen says another one that believes it's a disgrace. Mary says, this is terrible. Typical Ireland, don't look after their own. Adele, sure, you need to know a fortnight in advance that you're going to be sick now. It's an absolute disgrace and a shambles. And John says this country is a joke. Layers of bureaucracy getting worse all of the time. And on it goes. Thank you so much for all of your comments in relation to that.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Don't miss David James and his band this Sunday night in the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny from 9 p.m. Come along for a great night's dancing. Don't miss David James this Sunday at the Clanry.
Details of Interim Acres payment revealed. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out how much and when you will get your delayed payment. €250,000 worth of tractor GPS units stolen in just 10 days. We investigate. Farmers brace for hike in water charges. Teagasc sounds alarm bell on dairy costs as co-op milk prices differ by €180 per cow. More farmer protests on the way. And find out what Sinn Féin is planning for farmers in our exclusive interview.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
The big winter sale is now on at Ben Sweeney Euronics in Letterkenny and Dunloe.
with the Samsung Jet 60 cordless vacuum cleaner reduced to €219. Cook family meals up to 65% faster with the new Ninja Foodie Flex Drawer air fryer for only €259. And the Beko 8kg A-rated washing machine with a 10-year parts warranty down to $399. Save big in the Euronics winter sale now in Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre Dunlow.
Looking to upgrade your home? Ready to dine in style and lounge in comfort? Well, get ready for our sofa and dining sale happening now at Easy Living Furniture. Score incredible deals on sofas, dining sets and more. From sleek and modern to cosy and traditional. We have the perfect pieces to match your style and budget. The spectacular sofa and dining sale is now on in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Highland Radio are celebrating another birthday. We are inviting you to join us for our Highland Radio Birthday Bash on Tuesday the 19th of March in the Mount Errigal Hotel. Joined by the one and only Margot, myself, David James, plus special guests Brendan Quinn, Declan Ernie and Patrick Feeney. This is a night not to be missed. Tickets on sale now. Why not treat yourself to one of our package deals, including dinner, bed and breakfast, plus your ticket to the show. For more information, visit the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. We'll see you at the Highland Radio Birthday Bash.
Now, the Department of Public Health North and North West is responding to 2 cases of confirmed infection and 1 probable case of infection of meningococcal disease in the West. Public Health were notified of the cases in early February and it concerns 3 teenagers. Close contacts at this point have been identified by Public Health and offered preventative treatment as appropriate. Dr. Anthony Breslin's a consultant in Public Health with the HSE and he joins us now. Anthony, good morning to you. I suppose...
Good morning, Greg.
You might outline to our listeners what meningococcal disease actually is.
Okay, meningococcus is a bacteria that in autumn winter time about 10% of people carry it on their throats. It can come and go, and vast majority of people it does nothing. They don't know they have it, they never will. But in a very, very small number, they might go on to develop more serious infections such as meningitis or sepsis, blood poisoning. Now, the numbers we get a year in this part would maybe be 5 or 6 cases a year. So it's very, very small, and it's become smaller over the last sort of 10 years after the introduction of the Men-C meningitis vaccine and also the Men-B vaccine that came in 2016. So we don't see a lot of cases, fortunately. And obviously, as soon as someone's identified as a case, obviously, be it the GP or the hospital, the emergency department, they're managed and given medication. But because the close contacts, such as siblings or parents or a boyfriend, girlfriend, or anybody who stayed in the house overnight, they could also be carrying the bug. So what we routinely do is give them 1 dose of antibiotic to get rid of that bug in the throat. And that has 2 effects. Number 1, it gets rid of the bug in the throat so they may not develop infection. And if the bug is gone, they can't pass it on to someone else. So it has 2 effects. But usually the risk of someone else in the household getting the infection is small. And in a school setting, it's very, very small. But because we have 3 cases in the school in Boyle, we have to follow the normal protocol, which is offer everybody in the school, the students and the staff, medication, just to make sure we reduce any risk there is there to 0.
And what is and this sounds obvious, but I'll ask just because it might be useful in us understanding, what would be the purpose, Doctor, of going public with 2 confirmed cases and one probable case, particularly if they're in the same environment?
We don't go public usually with cases, but this is technically an outbreak.
Okay.
And we also need, because it's midterm and everything else, kids away, staff away, we needed to get a message out. Now, the school have been phenomenally cooperative in sending out text messages and emails, but because of the situation, we didn't want the story getting legs and misinformation going out, so that's why we went out.
Excellent, understood.
public with it too, to reassure people, to reassure staff, to reassure pupils, to reassure parents, etc., to reassure the local population, and also to encourage people to turn up today. And so far, we're a quarter of an hour into it. People did arrive early, and so far we've given medication to 70 plus people, which is a good hit rate at this hour of the day.
And just to be clear, this is down in Boyle.
It is in Boyle,
okay,
yes.
That just in case anyone goes, do I need to go somewhere? Okay. Right, so is it also useful at this point then, because I presume like anything, the earlier there is, a proper assessment or intervention, the better. So as I say, this is by definition an outbreak, although a small number of cases and close contacts and others are being medicated. But I suppose it would be remiss not to sort of get the information out there for people to keep an eye out as to what to look out for.
I mean, to watch out for. I mean, people, unfortunately, even though it has become rare, it still can happen. So it's often an infection of the very young or the elderly, but any age can get it off form, tired, can develop a rash over the body, and the rash doesn't go away when you're pressing it. Very lethargic, I said, high temperature, and if anything like that happens, talk to your GP and they'll sort you out.
And I think the message is don't wait for that rash. It can appear late if you get a combination of the other symptoms.
Yeah, obviously, kids go off and the elderly go off very quickly, get sick very quickly. So if you have a concern, don't hang around, as you said, get seen.
Okay, and with babies, if they're refusing feed, irritable, have a high-pitched cry, have a stiff body, or be floppy or unresponsive, and that crosses over to lots of different things. So I would hope parents or guardians, if they've seen that, they would definitely get straight to the GP in any case. Okay. Dr. Breslin, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Right, so just to confirm from Dr. Anthony Breslin, that is 2 cases of confirmed infection, 1 probable case of infection, and it's in the Boyle area, so quite some distance removed from where I'm broadcasting right now. But we're just good to clarify that, because initially it was a bit varied as to, the west and northwest, and I understand that because we noticed during the pandemic, if cases are less than, I think it was 5 at that time, to prevent identifying individuals for their privacy, a specific region wasn't given. But in this case, I think it's important that information is out. So we've had contact from someone who works in the GP area. Just to sort of, they wanted to give us an insight as to what the situation is for GPs at the moment. But obviously it's difficult to speak publicly, but this is confirmed, and Caroline's assured me it's a trusted and reliable assessment from someone in the GP realm that would have an understanding of this situation. And they say the demand is exceptional on GPs at the minute. There is no mandatory nature on the GP to take them on, and especially if you do not have a medical card. GPs do have a right to stop taking patients if the practice has reached its capacity. They only have to take on a certain capacity in a year, and if they've reached that, then it is difficult. If you're refused by 3 GPs, then you're assigned 1. But if that assigned GP has reached their capacity, then they have to find them a GP in the region. So, in other words, even if a GP is assigned to you, and they say, look, we're at full capacity here, that's by the HSC, they can then find you an alternative GP. And they conclude, which I think really is quite a damning statement, this is just more evidence that the system is broken.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Get the right tools or equipment to get the job done with great hire deals at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Everything from diggers to power tools, dumpers to portaloos, and pressure washers to cherry pickers. Watson's offer a fast and reliable service. To book, call Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 9167777.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Uno, dos, tres. A hain, a do, a tree. 1, 2, 3. The Arona, the Ateca and the Tarraco. 3 great SUVs from SEAT. And when you order now, you can enjoy 3 years free tyre insurance and 3 years roadside assistance, plus 3 flexible payment options to purchase your new SEAT. Visit seat.ie to discover even more of our fantastic offers. Great things come in threes at DMG Motors, Donegal Town. And while I have 3 seconds, allow me to say that yes, terms and conditions apply.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okie doke. Thank you so much, by the way, for all your texts and calls and comments. We're going to be getting to those very shortly, but I'll pop up the weather for you so we can see what the rest of the day has in store. Right, so rain will clear to the east this morning, followed by scattered showers and a few sunny spells too. Highest temperatures of 10 or 12 degrees in light southwest winds. And we're kind of going to see a lot of this weather for the next week ahead, I think, according to those that know, i.e. weather forecasters. Let me see. In relation to the GP conversation, we're exactly the same back here in Donegal. No doctor. We don't want to go on air, but just want to say we're in the same boat. And that is fine, by the way. So you don't have to come on air. We will invite you to come on air, but that's just part of the process. That woman should do like what they do in our area where all asylum seekers are staying. They just ring 999 and the ambulance comes to do their assessment. And from there, it's either taken to hospital or not, which is not ideal. Tell that lady to throw away her passport and she'll get a GP. Another, the reality is your GP is your primary carer. Unfortunately, your first access to healthcare is a private business. We need root and branch reform and rid our health service of privatisation across the board. And other people tell me they find it hard to get a doctor's appointment. It could take 2 weeks for an appointment. It's very hard for local people who have returned home to find it hard to access services in any way. One person told me that a family friend who returned had to leave with his family to go to another country. He couldn't get access to basic services as local actual Irish who just wanted to bring his family up in his native country. And you know, I mean, I've spoken to people on the show in the past who've children or family members who are have particular conditions that they've had to move away or move closer to where treatment and services are available. Needed to see the doctor yesterday evening, half day in local town, closes 1. Now doc, not open till 6. Went to Letterkenny Menox and seen straight away. Fabulous service if you have, of course that is a private service, isn't it? But that means there's a 5-hour window between the doctor's closing in this area and Now Doc being in operation. And although the government's trying to encourage construction workers back to build this country up again, with no GPs, school places, etc. available for their families, is what they're going to face. Oh my God, how promising is this? And you know, people accuse me of being cynical or anti this and anti that, and I'm genuinely not. I just see things like lots of people see things. And do you remember about, I don't know how long ago, about 6 weeks ago, there was talk of a special package of measures that would be put into counties that had, you know, taken on more, say, for instance, more immigrants than others. Do you remember that? And I said at the time, well, what does that look like? How does that work? I mean, how would that be felt in Donegal? You know, so they say there's hundreds of thousands euro. And that is where a little bit of my cynicism comes from, because it was announced as if, yay, Donegal, Kerry, this county, that other, you're going to share in a pot. We're going to get more nurses into GPs' practices. We're going to do this, that and the other. But unfortunately, like, at the time, I says, well, how does that look like? How is that delivered? What does that mean? How does that make a difference? And yet here we are, 1-2 months on, and really we're completely in the same boat. And that announcement was carried absolutely everywhere, but there's no follow-up, no understand. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, it was just announced. And what does it mean? How's it implemented? If anyone has any insight as to where that money went, did it come into the county? What did it deliver? Because we were told it was coming in because Donegal has taken a greater proportion of new arrivals than any other county has. But where is it? What happened to that announcement?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
At ESB, we're investing over €1 billion a year to drive Ireland towards a net zero future. Our ambition is to generate 5 times more renewable energy by 2030, enough to power around 3 million homes and businesses. This means investing in onshore and offshore wind farms, new solar farms, and innovative solutions like green hydrogen. Because we are, and always have been, invested in Ireland. Find out more at esb.ie.
If you're getting married, the in-house design team at BizPrint can get all your wedding stationery and signage needs customised to your requirements. Just visit weddinginvites.ie or call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955.
For the best breakfast in town, take a seat at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. Try the renowned Early Bird Special or the Full Irish, or go all the way with the ultimate monster trucker. There's also healthy options like Kelly's Protein Breakfast or turkey and scrambled eggs. For breakfast, lunch, dinner or something in between, pull into Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny, with confirmation and First Communion catering also available.
In southern Malawi, communities are facing extreme floods followed by extreme dry spells. Melita is a single mother who farms to support her 4 children. In 2023, a record cyclone ripped across her farm, with rainwaters destroying crops and damaging her home. When her farm faced a withering dry spell later in the year, Melita was left wondering how she would access safe water or feed her family again. Throcra is working with Melita and thousands more like her to adapt to the devastating effects of climate change. You can help them build a more secure future. Visit throcra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Together, we can make a lasting difference. This extreme weather report on Highland Radio was brought to you by Throcra.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council says it remains committed to the acquisition of 17 houses at Lough Fern in Milford for social housing and met with the developer as recently as the 10th of last month. 3 weeks ago, the developer told Highland Radio there was an agreement, but no contracts were signed, and the council withdrew when prices rose. He said he'd subsequently done a deal with the Cooperative Housing Ireland Group. However, the council says that would effectively put 2 state-funded agencies into competition. Superintendent Greta Sheridan is to become the county's new Garda Chief Superintendent. The role's been empty since December 2022. The Rathmullen native will take up her new post on Monday. 24 people have now died on Irish roads in the first 46 days of the year. The latest death was a man in his 30s on the M1 in Dublin yesterday morning. A woman in her 50s died on Tuesday following a crash in Cork on Sunday. 10 drivers, 7 passengers, 5 pedestrians and 2 motorcyclists have been killed so far this year, one of them a pedestrian in Letterkenny. 2 teenagers have been confirmed to have meningococcal disease, while a further case has been deemed as probable, all of them attending the same school. The Department of Public Health West and Northwest was notified of the cases in Boyle earlier this month. Close contacts have been identified and offered preventative treatment as appropriate. 70 have availed of that so far. There are calls for a former RTE chief financial officer to hand back a €450,000 exit package. It was revealed yesterday that former chief financial officer Breda O'Keefe was paid the €450,000 when she left her job at the state broadcaster. RTE will also have to pay a tax liability due to the nature of the payoff. And Uisce Éireann says repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to Clonmany, Ballyliffin and surrounding areas of Northern Inishowen today. Works are scheduled to take place until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, you found yourself drawn into Crowbar Gate.
Yes, indeed.
A little earlier on today. You've been doing some research as one of, if not the most eminent journalist in Donegal. So your views are greatly respected, of course. A lot of people seem to believe that Lee Gooch is right in that his big long metal bar is a crowbar, but you seem to have dug up some information that suggests otherwise, don't you?
Well, I did. I mean, I had a chat with Canis, basically. And
so that is the extent of your research.
Well, yes.
Okay,
but I mean,
so
no, it patently wasn't a crowbar. I mean, a crowbar does have a twist at the end, almost at a right angle, but curved, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that is used to jemmy doors or jemmy something, whatever. But the reason a crowbar is called a crowbar is at the end of that little sort of turnaround angled part, there is a sort of a V that is used for jimmying into nails and things.
Yes.
And that resembles a crow's foot.
Now, you also,
and that's why it's called a crowbar.
Also, as part of your research, you've stumbled across jammy dodgers and jammy dodgers and custard creams. Okay, so just how does that fit into this analysis?
The analogy I was using, Greg, would be that a jammy dodger is a jammy dodger.
It is, yes.
I may choose to call it a custard cream.
That's your right.
But I may choose to do so.
Yes.
But that doesn't change the fact
that
it is a jammy dodger and not a custard cream.
So was Lee Gooch holding a jammy dodger or a custard cream? Have we determined that yet?
As far as I could see, he was holding a bourbon.
Okay. But Lee Gooch is wrong. That's your information at this point.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. That's some breaking information from Donald Kavanagh there in the newsroom. 086 60 25 000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 074 91 25 000.
For when a right turn becomes a wrong turn. Get up to €70 off car insurance with An Post Insurance at onpostinsurance.ie or call us today. €70 or 20% discount will be applied, whichever is lower, subject to a minimum premium of €355 or €345, depending on policy underwriter. Applied consecutively for new customers only. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as An Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Best price online.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Keep your calls and comments coming to us, please, on 086 60 25 000. Greg, that access to GPs isn't only a Donegal issue. I have family who are working in Dublin after college and they can't get a GP. They don't have a medical card. They have to use the health insurance, and if they need a doctor or any medical procedure, they contact insurance and they give them details of a centre, or in some cases a doctor will talk to you over the phone. This means that you are seeing a different doctor each time you're sick. It's disgraceful how the Irish are being treated. Okay, I think we can say now good morning to Dr. Fidelma Brady. Good morning, Fidelma.
Good morning, Greg. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. No, and thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Fidelma Brady is Head of Education, Primary and Post-Primary with Down Syndrome Ireland. Now, your organisation, like others that we spoke to last week, are gravely concerned by the content of a circular issued by the Department of Education. The special education teacher set allocation model and the calculation of the set allocation for each school from the 24-25 school year until further notice. Now, I think it's really important to point out here that the minister responsible in the Dáil, and I'm sure you heard this, Fidelma, conceded that this decision will see 1/3 of schools lose set hours effectively. So that's the minister with responsibility conceding that this measure will actually see less set support in schools, which I think is a remarkable admission. Oh, okay, so for those new to this story, maybe, Fidelma, you might outline what the changes have taken place. It's a box, effectively, that no longer exists.
Exactly, Greg. Thank you very much. Up to the production of this circular, indeed, there's two circulars, Greg. One is for primary schools and one is for post-primary schools. Both the content is essentially the same. Up to this, the category of complex needs, complex educational needs, was always there and was always considered in part of the allocation of special education teaching in schools. Now, within this circular, that category has been removed. And there is no longer a defined category or a specific category there for children with complex needs, which of course, I'm speaking today on behalf of the members of Down Syndrome Ireland. Children with Down syndrome have always been considered to have complex needs because, as well as the syndrome, many of them have issues with vision, with hearing, other health difficulties. So that in itself becomes a complex need. And essentially that category has been removed. And we're now in a very confused state. I suppose we're angry from the point of view of there was absolutely no consultation on this. It came as a bombshell to not just our organisation or our members, but to everybody. And I know a lot of the other disability organisations have come out and said the same.
And what I find particularly, well, there's a lot, but an element of this that I find particularly troubling for Dalma is that I don't think any school is going to use the example of a child with Down syndrome, is going to pull special education teacher resources from them. They're going to make that decision in-house. So any shortfall in hours has the potential to affect other children as well.
And that's part of the big problem, Greg. That's why, you know, this is going to affect all parents of all children, because what's going to happen now, of course, the child with Down syndrome or indeed other complex needs, they are still going to need a specific amount of support to make any progress. And what's going to happen is the support is going to be allocated to the school. That support then is going to have to be spread so thinly throughout the school to try and meet everybody's needs that there's a very real risk that children who may just be on the fringes or who may have benefited from availing of additional support in literacy or numeracy, they will get absolutely nothing. And the support is going to be spread so thinly that nobody will really benefit.
So it puts teachers and parents all in. Like I spoke to a parent. I spoke to a parent last week who's also a teacher, and of course concerned about her child. But actually, really, the majority of the concern is that will her child also take supports away from other children that need them? Like, how can a parent be sort of painted into that corner where, of course, we all want the best for our own, but we're being forced to sort of, you know, feel bad for other children as well? It's crazy in this day and age.
It's a very, very difficult situation. I actually heard your caller on Friday, Emma, who gave a very, very good account of her situation as a mother. We recently, within Down syndrome, we conducted a survey of our members, and 30% of our members have issues with education anyway, have problems and have issues that they can identify with education. And they don't need this on top of all that. You know, parents are dealing with enough and trying to cope with enough and work with their children the best way possible. They don't need any additional issues to come up. And this was particularly a bombshell, Greg. Basically, the rug was pulled out from under us last week with the introduction of these two circulars. Absolutely no consultation, no prior notice that this was going to happen.
Obviously, I try my best, as best I can in all situations, to try and come at this from a different angle, to tease out the conversation, to play devil's advocate, maybe to represent the views of the department in the absence of them being on the programme. But I can't come up with any rationale to put to you to sort of tease this out with you and to get your views. I am incapable of structuring an argument that could in any way explain or justify this decision.
Well, just one point particularly on that, Greg. The department have identified the lack of data access or the data access issue with the CDNT network. What the CDNT networks are, there are teams of health and social care professionals, and they work with children from birth to 18 years. They are under the auspices of the Department of Health. So I suppose our big issue with that would be if the problem, as quoted by the Department of Education, is stemming from a data issue with the CDNTs, well, that's a Department of Health issue. And we cannot comprehend why children under the auspices of the Department of Education are suffering because of an issue within the CDNTs. If the issue is there within the CDNTs with their data issues, Well, they need to sort that out. The children with special needs in this country, all children with special needs, not just those with Down syndrome, but they're my responsibility today, but all children with special needs, they shouldn't be made to suffer.
We have an
issue in another department.
I beg your pardon, Fidelma. We do have a window of opportunity here because this is the criteria that's being used to allocate special education teachers from September onwards. So there is a window here for people to get their ducks in a row, whatever it might be, CDNT, the department, whatever, to sort this out. We can't have children being disadvantaged. All children,
I agree
by the
with you 100%, Greg. We're asking all of our parents to get on board with this, to contact their local TDs, because this has to be highlighted. Because our issue is, this is the statement that's made now. What's going to happen to children that maybe might have planned to go to a mainstream school in September 24 or September 25 on down the road? We need to remember that these circulars have been issued for the 2024-2025 year until further notice. Mm-hmm. So that makes it a very long-term prospect. And the worry is there for parents. Of course, parents are worried. They might have originally thought that their child was going to be quite happily in their local schools, but now they're questioning the fact, will my child get supports? And if my child doesn't get those supports, are they going to cope?
Does the department see my child? Does my child exist to them?
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the problem, Greg. I think, the department looking at allocations on numbers and on test scores and on enrolments and on areas of disadvantage. Not everybody in the country is living in an area of disadvantage.
Okay.
And, that's really where the issues lie. Mm-hmm. And the department are just going to have to rethink this because it's absolutely, it's scandalous that this has even happened. We shouldn't even have to be talking about this today.
Yeah, well, we're going to be in touch with you again as this process on goes of other people.
I'll be delighted to come on anytime.
Exactly, just to get any updates, any advancements or lack thereof, because What are the better ways there to judge a country, to judge its people, to judge its government, to judge whatever it is on how it treats its children? There are a million other metrics that says we're very wealthy, we're doing well, we're welcoming, we're this, that and the other. But there is one real key metric I think that you can use. How do you treat children? Do you treat them equally? How inclusive of you are? And unless this changes by that measure, we are not in a good place in this country. It cannot be allowed to continue.
Absolutely. And we have to remember as well, Greg, that we're not just talking about something that's going to go on while the child is in primary school or go on into post-primary school. We're trying to ensure that these children are given a good education, and as a result will be able to live independent lives, will be part of their community, etc., etc. If they don't get the necessary supports when they're young and in childhood, there's absolutely no point in talking about great initiatives in adult education and further education, because if they miss the 2 blocks of primary and post-primary, it's futile.
And then those later supports or later initiatives then are judged on their success, whether they're worthwhile, and obviously their success measures will fall because of...
They won't have the strong base.
Exactly. That's precisely. Thank you for helping me word that. Take care of yourself. Dr. Fidelma Brady, Head of Education, Primary and Post-Primary with Down Syndrome Ireland. It's not just children that she represents or her organisation represents. It's all children, potentially. I want to play a clip, actually, because this is really quite important in this. I'm not sure how much of this will play. We'll listen to it, right, and then we'll see where we go from there, because this did come up for discussion in the Dáil, of course. It was Aidan O'Riordan. He challenged the Taoiseach in the Dáil today on the new set allocation models. 33% of schools are set to lose resources under this model. That was stated by the Minister for Special Education. So let's hear a little bit about how this discussion went in the Dáil.
Remarkable admission last night during oral questions to the Minister for Education from the Minister for Special Education, which says that the new allocation model for special needs resources will mean that 33% of schools will now have less special education needs resources. She admitted this on the floor of the House last night. This is because complex needs are now being taken out of the criteria for allocation for special educational needs. Now, she said that she had a wide consultation, but the INTO are saying that this model is fundamentally flawed. Now, I think many deputies across the House have had contact from schools who are horrified at the loss of special education needs resources. She says that 67% of schools are not losing resources or are gaining resources, but so that means that 33% are losing. So can you revisit this model, please, and ensure that schools will not lose the resources they have on the basis of complex needs, which are now not being counted for under the new allocation model?
My understanding is that the allocations are made every year, and it's based on the profile of the children in the school. So, for example, in any given year, children with particular needs may leave the school, move on to another one, or more kids may come in with needs. So it's based on the profile of the children in the school, not the school itself. And what you say, I understand, is correct, is that we have 1,000 more special education teachers than we had back in 2021, and 2/3 of schools will be gaining hours or having the number of hours remain the same. About 1/3 will be losing, and in most cases less than 5 hours. But my understanding is that that's based on the profile of children currently in the school or are due to be in the school for next year.
All right. What I don't understand, though, is how can you gauge the profile of the school children? How can you gauge the profile of the school children if you take out the ability to know what their needs actually might be? The complex educational need criteria is being removed from the form. So if it is about the makeup of the children within the school, how will the children with complex educational needs be actually known of if you no longer ask that question? Which I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually in that exchange that the Taoiseach is fully aware that that category in complex educational needs is being removed. I could be wrong, but his response sounds like he's not aware of that.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The Big Baby event is back at Lidl. You have voted us the most awarded retailer at the Pregnancy and Baby Fair Awards across your favourite Loopy-Loo products like the Loopy-Loo nappy range from 99¢. To celebrate, there's 20% off our entire Loopy-Loo baby food range exclusively on Lidl Plus. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Fabric World Maydown Derry biggest ever winter sale now on trend and in stock curtain and upholstery fabrics all on sale. Over 3,000 metres now half price or less. Free curtain design ready-made curtains up to half price and lining from £1 with fabulous rates on the Euro in store at Fabric World Maydown Derry.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Looking to upgrade your home? Ready to dine in style and lounge in comfort? Well, get ready for our sofa and dining sale happening now at Easy Living Furniture. Score incredible deals on sofas, dining sets and more. From sleek and modern to cosy and traditional. We have the perfect pieces to match your style and budget. The spectacular sofa and dining sale is now on in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Have you discovered the Donegal Boardwalk Resort Restaurant yet? Open every Wednesday to Sunday. Take leisurely strolls along the boardwalk and treat yourself to light bites, hearty lunches or comforting dinners. Complete your stay in our cosy lodges. Explore more at donegalboardwalkresort.ie. Unwind, dine and savour the moment at Donegal Boardwalk Resort, Carrigart.
FBD doesn't stand for 50 bees droning. Fabulous Brazilian dancers or flat battery doctors. FBD stands for support. We support van drivers in Ireland with up to 75% off new van policies. Visit your local branch to talk to your FBD insurance team. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% off based on 5 years no claims discount. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
All right, okay, so you can WhatsApp your comments to us by voice note. Earlier on, we were talking to Anne-Marie, who returned home to Ireland, to North Inishowen, to run a family business, very involved in the community, can't get a GP spot for her or her children. And she was speaking in the context of a call from government for people to come home and work in Ireland. This is a view of one listener.
Can you imagine telling the Irish construction workers to come back home after listening to that show there? Hey, with their families?
John, that caller not convinced. Okay, John Malone is of ChristianTVIreland.ie and joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning. Good morning.
I think it was towards the end of last week that we learned of the closure of Veritas shops around Ireland. So, can you just, for those who may not be familiar with these outlets, what kind of services they provide? What's the background to them?
That's right. Well, now I shop in the one in Middle Abbey Street in Dublin. I live in Oldcastle, but I travel up there and I shop in Veritas in Middle Abbey Street in Dublin, and then they have one in Blanchardstown Shopping Centre, and I often go there because it's kind of handier in some ways. I don't have to go into Dublin. When I go into Dublin, I park in Navan and go up in the bus because you can't drive a car in Dublin nowadays, which way you were going. And now, with regard to Veritas is established as a Catholic bookstore over 100 years, not long after we got our freedom. And they have 7 stores, including one in Letterkenny and one in Derry, and one in Cork and one in Limerick, and then their distribution centre. Now, they provide a great service, and the staff that I deal with, when you go in, very helpful and experienced. And when you walk into Veritas, you're walking into a place that you're going to be dealt with people that have great respect for what they do and for the people that support them. And quite a few do, even though the excuse now is that sales have slackened or something like that. But sales, according to who I talk to, are not as bad as what is indicated by the statement.
Just in relation to that, if you don't mind, John, because what I can find a little bit confusing is that in 2022, Veritas recorded a profit of in excess of, in 2021, 252,000. And then the following year, it was a loss of 224, which is a swing of almost $500,000. It's interesting to note. I wonder what happened from one year with $250,000 profit to the next $250,000 loss.
Well, no, exactly. That's hard to explain. When you make a profit, obviously, some is given to, I presume, the bishops that apparently own it. And you put some into reserve for the rainy day. And they must have experienced a rainy day a year afterwards. It doesn't seem to add up because they opened a couple of new stores, which would have added to the overall, I would have thought, profit. Now, the only store that they own is the one in Middle Abbey Street. The rest of their stores are either leased or rented. And as you know yourself, when you rent when you're young, but it's a prudent thing to buy and own your house, likewise your premises. Now, I've done a video in the ChristianTVIreland.ie, John Malone, that's the way to look it up, a few days ago for Veritas, and I've made a plea of I'm willing to put up 10,000 euro of my own private income, money, and to plea for maybe 1,000 other practicing Catholics to do likewise, 10,000, and that would be a substantial amount of money, and to operate on the cooperative movement that stood to farm down the centuries.
Okay.
John,
the thing about it is John, if you don't mind, sorry, if you dig a little bit deeper into it, it seems that the company was quite indebted, though. Veritas Communication owed €625,000 at the end of 2022. They also have a €400,000 loan, I believe, to pay back. I'm not sure if that's inclusive in the 625 or not. But anyway, be that as it may, is it wise, with the best will in the world, John, for you and others to be throwing good money after bad? And I don't mean Veritas being bad. I mean the business model being bad, because it's clear if they're accruing, they're accruing that level of loss. Is it wise for you and to ask others to put money into that? Because judging by the amount of money that they are losing and that they owe, this money perhaps could be better spent elsewhere. And I say that with absolute respect, John. It's your money. You're free to do with what you like. But the indebtedness is so high. I just wonder if you're throwing it into a hole and could make better use of it elsewhere.
Well, fair dues, but I don't think so.
Okay.
You see, the expertise that the staff have, and the fact that they're established over 100 years, when times were very poor, as those of us old enough to remember what it was like even when I was young and growing up and living in Boyle, County Roscommon, where my father was a Garda. And without a doubt, we were happy, but we didn't have much funds, and most of us were lucky to have a bicycle. So now, with regard to Veritas, the fact of the matter is that's peanuts in business, to my way of thinking. And you often have a valley period with the best will in the world. So they're well worth supporting. They have the expertise. They can be made a bit leaner. A manager can be put in charge, and his responsibility would be to sort of make sure that it was run on a profitable manner, with one or two few permanent staff, and then mostly part-time, and that type of thing. And managers put in charge of the various stores to operate in that way to make them efficient and profitable.
So, John, if people want to sort of back you in what you want to say, see the video that you've made, ChristianTVIreland.ie or your social media, or John, how can people access that information?
In order to check the video that I did, look up ChristianTVIreland.ie and put John Malone after it, because when you look it up, there's often other ones that don't want it anywhere.
No problem.
But Christian TV Ireland, we're going now a few years, and we've got plenty of subscribers, and we've got funds that we're hoping to start a Christian TV Ireland station to stand up for the Catholic faith under attack, as you know yourself. And people buy some goods on the internet when it's far better to go into a store where you can talk to people. Mm-hmm. After all, what's the point of going, spending your time buying stuff on the internet when you're not talking to anybody, and you're not getting the sort of support and advice and help that you get in the Veritas stores? Right. With good staff, good experienced staff, it would be a disgrace for them to close, irrespective of the situation. They made a profit a couple of years ago, so they're fit to make a profit, and if they're running the proper lines and the cooperative lines, they will make a profit.
Okay, John Malone, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate that. Now, here are details again of the fantastic quiz we have running all this week in association with our friends at the Hollywood Hotel in beautiful Bundoran. It's your chance for a great prize, and that prize will be won tomorrow, by the way. I'll give you a couple of chances to hear this between now and 12, but here are the details and how you enter.
This week we have a fantastic end-of-week prize courtesy of the Hollywood Hotel for one lucky winner, which includes one night bed and breakfast for two people at the Hollywood Hotel Bundoran, with champagne and chocolates on arrival, followed by a spa treatment each in the Hollywood's luxurious spa at Orchids. Finish off your evening with a 4-course dinner and a bottle of wine in their Watermelon restaurant, plus full use of the Blue River Leisure Centre swimming pool and Canadian hot tub. Your spa experience includes a private session in the outdoor hot tub and sauna, and a 60-minute spa treatment, each inspired to give you a captivating night's sleep. Beginning with a serene back massage, followed by a beautifully soothing scalp, hand and arm massage. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer this question. What city is often called the City of Love and is home to iconic sites such as the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame Cathedral. Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Not all food is the same. Food that carries a quality mark means that it's been produced to Board Bia's highest quality standards, verified at every stage. It's reassuring to know that there's always someone out there inspecting how your food is being produced and checking where it comes from. It also means you're supporting quality assured producers. So always choose food with the Board Bia quality mark. It's food you can enjoy even more because you know you can trust it.
Join us at Angrenon Hotel for our spectacular wedding showcase on Sunday, 25th of February from 1 till 4 p.m. Meet our award-winning wedding team, mingle with top-class exhibitors and view the 3-time top-rated wedding venue in Ulster as voted by weddingdates.ie. Make it special. Make it Angrenon.
Across Ireland, more than 1.6 million homes, farms and businesses have been upgraded to a smart electricity meter. And ESB Networks is continuing the rollout of smart meters in your area, connecting more of us to a cleaner electric future. One of the benefits of your smart meter is being able to find out more about your daily usage regardless of who your electricity supplier is. Get started by signing up today for your online account. Visit esbnetworks.ie. ESB Networks, energizing your everything.
Attention all home and business owners. Are you looking for the best value for money when it comes to plumbing and tile solutions? At McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles, our experienced staff are ready to provide top quality services and products that meet your needs and exceed your expectations. Our focus is on providing expert advice and top quality products. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tile showroom in Buncrana is dedicated to delivering great value for your money. Visit our showroom today.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Carleen Little of the Culdaff Development Association. Good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. Thanks very much for having us on.
Good to have you on the show. Have I got the pronunciation of your first name correct?
Carleen.
Carleen, that's exactly what I said. Tell you, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Right, okay. Beautiful Culdaff, and you're a member of the Culdaff Development Association. And you're inviting people in the area to have their say on the future. Talk to us a little bit about it, Carleen.
So, Greg, I'm working with the Culdaff Association on a project that is supported by Community Foundation Ireland to help the community make an action plan that really will give local people a chance to, turn some of the discussion around climate change into concrete actions. So we have the Development Association working with the Culdaff Tidy Towns, and they are building on some of the projects that they've done so far, like a community orchard, the community polytunnel, village cleanups, and the free wee library. And they want to just get other ideas and then present to the village the ideas that they have for different initiatives that will address climate change, but give people a chance to do something, concrete, tangible, because there's a lot of discussion about climate change, but it's such a big issue that people can feel a little bit overwhelmed. This gives people a chance to take their ideas and see if we can't work together to get some of them put in place.
Yeah, and of course, it's the whole idea of this conversation is to invite people to come forward with their ideas and not to sort of feed people ideas, but so we have an understanding as to what a potential suggestion might be that would enhance Culdaff in this way that wouldn't be there present there already, for an example.
Well, we're looking at different things. So if you look at the different things, say, for example, energy, there's been a suggestion of an electrical car charging point at the beach, or, you know, an upgrade of the energy efficiency of the wee hall, or we have the community polytunnel, and we'd like to maybe look at a community composting sort of scheme that people could bring their waste, and that waste could be put into like a microbiodigester. I don't know whether you've seen the ones that the Wiser have been working on in Letterkenny, but you know, they're very like small scale microbiodigester that generates a little bit of gas. So, you know, the ideas can be big or small. As I say, the Clondaft Development Association, the Clondaft Tidy Towns, and the CE scheme workers and their volunteers have all been doing like great things so far. But I think it's important to, you know, make sure it's actually what the people want. So, you know, since putting out about the event next Wednesday in the Wee Hall, we've had people contact us about, you know, maybe doing some stuff with like art in the environment, get people into nature more, because as you say, we're beautiful Clondaft. We have not just a blue flag beach, but we have, you know, a lovely coastal walk down to the beach along the river. We've got a really rich, like, natural heritage. You know, the sites which date back to early Christianity, where the St. Bowden came up the Clondaft River. So, you know, we've got a lot here. We've got a lot of assets. We need to find a way of you know, making people invest in them. And
for sure, it's not about really changing the world as such, but every journey starts with a simple step, of course. But it's also an opportunity maybe to set Clondaft apart in additional ways as well, I presume.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. As I say, we have got a fantastic natural heritage. We did we won a National Heritage Award last year for a Clondaft River and its natural heritage workshop that we did in the Wee Hall. So we know we've got like something different. The links to early Christianity along the river, the links to the you know, Neolithic sites that we have. We've got something, you know, really rich and original in our natural heritage.
And if you go, the further you go back to be it Christianity or whatever, it was far more involved in the land. You know what I mean? There was far more intertwined then than it is now. So, but Clondaft has that history, and it can be built on, of course. So, what is the process then post this meeting? And we'll finish up reminding people when it is. What's the implementation of this? You know, so how does some of these suggestions that are achievable get funded, get acted upon? You know, who's responsible in that area?
Well, you probably know there are, you know, a lot of funding streams that are open now, and all of them really need to address biodiversity, climate action. So the you know, the most upcoming one, the Donegal County Council has their Climate Action Fund, which you know, they're looking for project ideas. Then there's other funders like Community Foundation Ireland. So we want to make sure that we have a strategy for, you know, the smaller projects, but then also something bigger that will make Clondaft stand out.
Okay.
Will be achievable.
So the Clondaft Tidy Towns group are hosting this meeting in association with the Clondaft Development Association. It's Wednesday in the Wee Hall, one of the nicest named halls in Ireland. The Wee Hall, February 21st, which is next Wednesday, 6 p.m. And you know what? It's sort of as well, you don't necessarily have to go in there with your, I don't think, with your suggestions. It's kind of like, you know, an ideas event as well, whereby, you know, things will develop through people gathering. You know, so I don't think you need to necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, walk in there with a master plan. But if you have an interest and some input, you can help formulate the plan.
And also to say, you know, if you're not able to make it on Wednesday, please get in touch with us. We're going to have a, you know, an online survey. So if you can't make the Wednesday, if you can't drop in between 6 and 8, then do get in touch with clondafttidytowns@gmail.com. Also, if you have any accessibility issues, like if you need support to be able to get up to the Wee Hall, or you know, if you have any accessibility issues, get in touch with us too, just to make sure that it's open to as many people as possible.
For sure. Carleen, thanks so much. Have a lovely day. Take care of yourself. Carleen Little there of the Clondaft Development Association. That meeting in the Wee Hall next Wednesday. So that's next Wednesday of next week at 6 p.m.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Hello, Jedward speaking. Sorry, Edward speaking.
Hey, bro, I'm glad you picked up.
Who is this?
It's me, John. I'm literally outside the landing.
I don't know any Sean. Lose my number. Hello?
Edward, don't hang up. I'm sorry for saying a handyman could fix the gas boiler. Please forgive.
Always use a registered gas installer, or you could risk everything. Find one at rgi.ie.
Keep out the cold, and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234. At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
With Spar range own brand products, great value is closer than you think. This week we'll warm you up with offers like Spar Firestarter Fire Logs 4-pack only €4, Spar Microwave Popcorn Range 3-pack just €1.50, and Spar Instant Cappuccino 10-pack now only €1.25. Look out for the Spar range. Great value wherever you see the tree. Available in participating Spar and Eurospar stores while stocks last from February 15th to the 21st.
Letterkenny Summer Sessions presents Blind Boy Podcast live at Big Top Letterkenny on August 18th, 2024. Following sellout live shows worldwide, the renowned podcaster is bringing his acclaimed show to Letterkenny Summer Sessions for a fully seated, highly anticipated Sunday evening live podcast. Tickets on sale this Friday from 10 a.m. Only $39.90 plus booking fee. See Summer Sessions on social media for all information.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
All right, that rain clearing the region this afternoon. It'll be followed, though, by scattered showers, a few sunny spells, highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees and light southwest winds. Is there a particular antisocial behaviour problem in Letterkenny? The Letterkenny Lifford MD, Mayor Councillor Kevin Bradley, spoke recently of daylight drug deals, underage drinking. Apparently drugs are being dealt in broad daylight, underage drinking taking place at public amenities across the town. Kevin Bradley made those claims, calling for security to be increased, and has warned that parents ought to be vigilant. It's unbelievable what's going on in this town. Is it that bad? 086 60 25,000. Christy Gallagher is a former Garda Sergeant, joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Christy.
Good morning, Greg.
I mean, that's the mayor of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. He's a Letterkenny man. He's not making stuff up. He clearly believes there's a significant problem with daylight drug dealing. People obviously, if they do that, they don't fear getting caught, because you wouldn't do it if you did. Underage drinking, it sets a tone for a particular area. Is this something that you're aware of? Has it been something that's always been present in any sort of urban concentration?
I think, I was just, and before you rang me, I looked up a study, a rapid evidence review study of the understanding and addressing social behaviour carried out under the auspices of the Health Research Board and the Department of Justice in 2022. And it found that from CSO figures and statistics that it just antisocial behaviour isn't just specific to any one area. It is multiple areas that it affects, primarily in Dublin, funny enough. And what we have here is nothing other than what we've had for the last number of decades: antisocial behaviour in relation to drug taking and alcohol, and primarily amongst the youth as well, sadly. And what how do we counteract that? The question is, what interventions or robust interventions can we put into place to counteract this? Yes, you can talk about the youth restorative justice schemes that we have and everything else, but there needs to be more community interventions. Like we have a lot of community NGOs and the community centre here and the youth club here in Lower Main Street and everything else. Are they being utilised fully and significantly enough for youth interventions? And I think that's the way we should be going, collaboration between the state agencies and NGOs and communities to try to find out and underline what the problems are, number one, because a lot of it comes from social deprivation and poverty and things like that, as you know, Greg, where young people are just at the loose end and they've nowhere to go, or they feel they're
I'm from
areas.
I get you, Christy, and I'm not saying that Letterkenny isn't that, but I'm from a more rural part of the county, and don't even have a cinema. Now I know cinemas aren't cheap necessarily, but don't get me wrong, there's an awful lot going on in Letterkenny for young people compared to elsewhere. I'm thinking skate parks and all that type of stuff, no end of sporting organisations, stuff that can occupy young people for free as well. I did mention cinemas at the get-go, probably not the best example. So Letterkenny has an awful lot of what other towns and other rural areas simply does not have. If you're dealing drugs, in broad daylight, if you're boozing without fear, even though it's actually against the law, if you're boozing in public and knocking around public areas drinking, you clearly aren't worried about the guards. You clearly aren't worried about anyone speaking to you. Is this not really a policing matter? Because, as I say, Letterkenny has an awful lot of resources other areas of this county and country don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, as I said, state agencies in collaboration with community organisations need to, to step up to the mark at the end of the day. And one of the things that I've called for many times is the increasing foot patrols. Now, we have dedicated drugs units here in Letterkenny that really are going out there and doing the job that they are paid to do. But they can't be in every street and every corner of every place and all of this. But people see drug dealing going on. Then it's up to them to bring it in and say, look, there's an issue of drinking and drugs.
If me and you got in a car now, say we were in Limerick or Cork, right? It would take us a day to sort of probably meander around all the different places and all the problems.
Yeah.
If me and you got into a car in Letterkenny now, we could be in the 4 or 5 hotspots and visit all of those within 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? We're not talking a sprawling, a sprawling city here.
No, I know. I understand.
It's tiny. You could throw
I understand that.
over it. So it shouldn't take acres of resources, should it? It would just take a plan.
Well, I mean, that's what we talked about years ago. We had targeted approaches here in Letterkenny years ago. When I was here in Letterkenny, we had Guardian patrol every day, and a lot of the areas where there was antisocial behaviour and that things what you're talking about. Unfortunately, we have seen diminution or reduction in the number of foot patrols that are taking place. We have community patrols per se, but they're not on the same level as we had maybe 10 to 12 years ago or more. And that's another factor that has to be looked at. Where are the numbers of members that we have now that should be out on patrols, knowing their local areas, knowing their local businesses, shopkeepers, all of the information that we can gather from all of those. That's all very well, those targeted interventions, and a robust reaction from our state agency like the Garda Síochána. But we also need, after that is all said and done, we need also other interventions where we can say to young people, look at how does it affect their family, individuals and the wider community, and what can we do to help those as well? Is there enough investment? I mean, the Donegal County Council, I'm sure, could also invest in those community, and I'm sure they have, but we could look at those interventions where young people who are straying into those aspects of antisocial behaviour, that we can move them away from that and make them more productive members of society. We don't look at that, it's all about, that we need a plan, because I'm sure, for instance, it's possible some of these young people are from different backgrounds. They haven't been here as long. Like, is there a policing plan? Is there,
right across the board that recognises that all of these children have different backgrounds. Now, I don't say different backgrounds culturally. I mean, just come from different places. What is the plan? If you walk down Letterkenny Main Street now, there can be quite a lot of loitering. I use loitering because that kind of has criminal implications. Maybe I don't mean it in that way, but just hanging around that people feel they have to cross the streets. That's not a reference to non-Irish teenagers. That's not my point there. Just in case people believe I'm going down that route. I just mean but are they being engaged with? Are they being talked to? What's the crack, lads? What are you up to today? Is there a plan?
Yeah, every year there's a policing plan in relation to all aspects of policing in this country, and local superintendents and chiefs draw up a policing plan, what they're going to do, what their objectives are, and what the outcomes should be. I mean, that's all very well on paper, and I agree with you there. There is a plan per se, but we're living in a very diverse and multicultural society now, and you know that yourself, from people from all areas and parts of the world. Now, how do we engage with all of those, making them part of the society that we live in as well? And one of the things that I don't see a lot of, and we do see with some community NGOs that they try to focus on bringing people together. And I think that's what we need to do, more focused on those things that bring people together and say, look, this is not what this is. We shouldn't go down this route here. Maybe we could invest more in youth community programs, things that will move children or young people away. Not just necessarily young people. There are people
again, Christy, I hope you don't think I'm being argumentative, but Letterkenny has things like the Loft and other drop-in places where young people can go in and have a game of pool, whatever. There's so many initiatives, as to say, that Letterkenny has that other areas don't have, and I just don't understand then why I'm not saying they're not working. That's terrible. I don't mean it like that. But are they having? Do they need further supports or whatever to connect young people with the fantastic facilities that Letterkenny seemingly has? Open to correction on that as well. It's a conversation, not statements of facts from me.
Yeah. I think, I agree with you there. I think more robust interventions where young people are going down, we're not just through the juvenile diversion schemes and things that the Garda Síochána have, but we need to have a more focused interventions where if there is a difficulty, say, with young people in a certain area, that we can get our NGOs or like a community wardens that we're talking about recently, people who can engage with young people, including members of the Garda Síochána and our community policing groups, that they engage with those young people and try to divert them or steer them into those community areas.
And I know that is one strand, and I know that's one strand, Christy, and you're right to point out there are multiple strands. At the end of the day, though, the bottom line is and this isn't the silver bullet, what activity that's being talked about here is already illegal. You know what I mean? And I think what you're talking of has to run alongside enforcement, which is to say you've fully recognised as well, of course.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think my ethos was when I was in the job, that it's not all about enforcement and about getting people before the courts or through the juvenile justice systems. It's about what interventions can we put in place, all of us, community and state agencies, put in place to divert those young people into maybe education or maybe apprenticeships and things like that there. Just to focus them more on those things, that they feel a better self-worth.
Oh, for sure. I agree with you. We can't just criminalise people across the board. No. We have to make sure that we're supporting them as well. All right, Christy, thank you. Christy Galligan, former Garda Sergeant there. Now, a quick reminder for you, and you can get your texts in now before John is on, but I've yet a few bits and bobs to go through. I just want to give you one more reminder of the brilliant competition running today in association with our friends at the Hollywood Hotel down in Bundoran.
This week we have a fantastic end-of-week prize courtesy of the Hollywood Hotel for one lucky winner, which includes one night bed and breakfast for two people at the Hollywood Hotel Bundoran with champagne and chocolates on arrival, followed by a spa treatment each in the Hollywood's luxurious spa at Orchids. Finish off your evening with a 4-course dinner and a bottle of wine in their Watermelon restaurant, plus full use of the Blue River Leisure Centre swimming pool and Canadian hot tub. Your spa experience includes includes a private session in the outdoor hot tub and sauna, and a 60-minute spa treatment, each inspired to give you a captivating night's sleep. Beginning with a serene back massage, followed by a beautifully soothing scalp, hand and arm massage. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer this question. What city is often called the City of Love and is home to iconic sites such as the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame Cathedral? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Now, of course, tomorrow being Friday, we have our Friday panel joining us from 9. And that is 3 guests who discuss some of the big stories of the day, whatever happens overnight throughout the week. We want you involved in that conversation as well. And also, we have That's Entertainment, where we sort of ease our way into the weekend as well, and plenty more in between. So don't forget to come back and join us tomorrow morning at 9. And if you're listening to the podcast right now, hi, good to have you on board. Or if you're listening to us overnight, please feel free to have your say on any of the issues we've been talking about. An email, comments@highlandradio.com. Comments@highlandradio.com. So even if you're listening to the pod, and we do have quite a number of podcast devotees, we really do appreciate that. Or if you're listening overnight, don't forget you can get involved in the conversation as well by emailing comments@highlandradio.com. We pick them up overnight and then broadcast them for you the next day. So no end of ways for you to get involved. I'm leaving, unfortunately, dozens of comments behind me here, but they will actually form part of our conversations tomorrow. So every single one is read, and we try and read as many out on air as is possible. But for now, we're going to bid you adieu. For me, Greg Hughes, Caroline O, who researched and produced the show, Shannon working hard on the programme as well and looking after the social media, etc. We're back at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin's up around the northwest after the news headline.